And today, San Diego State getting the win over Creighton, that's a really good resume builder. that is something that when you put that on a resume and at the end of your season, you present that to the committee, that's going to stand out over a ranked opponent on a neutral floor. And, Creighton's going to be a good team this year. I don't feel like this is a situation where Creighton is all of a sudden going to fall off the map and have a really bad season. No, they're a really good team. Now, they were missing their point guard today, Ashworth, who, averaged 16 points. That did play a factor in the game today. But they still have an All-American in Ryan Kalkbrenner. They still have a really good team. And it wasn't even close today, guys. It wasn't even close. It from the start of that game, you could tell, all right, Aztecs are going to be in this one. And at the half, they're up by 4, and then they just blitzed them in the second half. They absolutely blitzed them in the second half. They're winning 71-53. Just an overall dominant performance from this team. You got the BJ Davis, who we'll definitely talk about more. Just a fantastic game, putting up 18 points leading the way, 9 rebounds for a guard. Dude's only 6'3", gets 9 rebounds. 6'2", 9 rebounds on the day, leading the team. And then Miles Byrd in the second half, putting up some big numbers, having 16 points there in the win as well. So San Diego State off to a fantastic start in this Players Era tournament today, getting the win over number 21 ranked Creighton. They'll face Oregon tomorrow, and it's not a bracket style, so it's not like the winner of this game they'll face. No, that's already set. They're going to take on Oregon tomorrow at 1 p.m. Of course, you can listen to that right here on San Diego Sports 760. And, while the player of the game today was BJ Davis, Miles Byrd had a really, really good game as well, putting up 16 points, a couple threes there in the second half, 2 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 steals, 2 blocks. When he's been healthy this year for this team, he's been really good, putting up some big time numbers. I don't think he was healthy last game against Gonzaga. Of course, he didn't have a week of practice like he did this week leading up to the Creighton game. So, getting back into rhythm was a huge thing for Miles Byrd. And when he's been healthy out there, he's been really good. And they need this consistency from Miles Byrd every single game. So Aztecs getting the win today, just a very impressive win. I know John talked about where they're at as far as KenPom rankings go and how they jumped up in KenPom rankings after this win. That just shows you how big this was for this Aztec team. So we'll talk more about the San Diego State Aztecs beating Creighton today. Also in the show, Will Brinson's going to join us at 4 p.m. Got a wrap for you as well. And we'll get into some offseason moves for the Padres. But staying with the Aztecs, look, going into this year, it was a lot of unknowns. Because for the last couple seasons, you've had players that, are, 4-year, 5-year players. And you knew what you could expect. You knew, all right, Lamont Butlers of the world, Micah Parishes of the world, multiple years. Jaden Ledee, multiple years here. Aguico back in the day, Nathan Mensah, Darion Trammell, like multiple year starters. And with this year's team, completely new. like completely new. Miles Byrd being one of the only guys that had any playing time with last year's Aztec team, along with Miles Heide as well, being on the court. Magoon Guath, Jared Coleman-Jones, B.J. Davis, Nick Boyd, Pharaoh Compton, Wayne McKinney, Taj DeGorville, all new. That to have a completely new roster built of really young players like Taj DeGorville, Pharaoh Compton, BJ Davis, Magoon Gwath. Those are guys that have not seen much playing time and guys that haven't seen playing time at all before the season started because they're freshmen. And they don't look like freshmen out there, I can tell you that. They don't look like guys that didn't get much playing time last year like BJ Davis. Magoon Gwath today put up 7 points, had that bucket at the end of the first half to give the Aztecs a 4-point lead at halftime. Again, couple blocks, 4 rebounds, 2 assists. He had that 3-pointer there in the second half as well. Really good game from Magoon Gwath. And Nick Boyd leading the way from the point guard position with 5 assists on the day. It's a team that I said going into this year that I was excited about. I was excited to see what this new group of Aztecs players was going to do. I was excited about it. I wanted to see what Nick Boyd was going to look like. I wanted to see if BJ Davis could have made that jump. I wanted to see Magoon Gwath out there getting some consistent playing time. I wanted to see Miles Byrd being elevated into a starting role and into a leadership role for this team. Wayne McKinney, I was excited about him when he transferred to San Diego State. Pharaoh Compton, Taj DeGorville, young guys, a lot of upside there. So far this year, those guys have not looked like freshmen at all. And that's a testament to Dutch and the coaching staff getting these guys ready to play from day one. We'll hear from Dave Velasquez later in the show today, but he talked about it with Teddy after the game. Like, this is only the 3rd game against a Division I opponent that they've had all year long. Occidental, withstanding, that game was more of a scrimmage than anything. But this is their 3rd game together as this group. And they just put up that performance against Creighton. Like, think about that. This is their 3rd game together. And they're missing arguably their best player in Reese Waters. Their biggest threat on offense in him. And you go out there today, and yes, Creighton is missing one of their top players as well, but you kind of dominated. And not just kind of, you dominated this team today. From the jump, it just felt like, okay, if they're not going to win this game, it's not going to be a blowout from the Aztec side. They're going to be in it the whole entire way. And today, they shot damn near 50% from the floor, 50% from 3. Free throws, they were only 3 for 7 there. But again, in a blowout win, there's not much to complain about at all. 71-53 over Creighton. It's a resume building game. This helps their metrics out so much going forward. And now, for the rest of the year, you want Creighton to win as many games as possible, and you want Creighton to do as well as possible in their conference, because then it looks better for your resume. So, all in all today, just a fantastic game all the way around. And you hope that they can carry that into tomorrow's game against Oregon. Oregon undefeated right now. They trail Texas A&M 28-26, about 4 minutes left in the first half of their opening game of the Players Era tournament. And I mean, hell, who knows? If you can get hot here and you can put together a nice little winning streak here, not only do you get the $1 million in this Players Era tournament just by being involved in it, but you can earn extra money as well if you win the tournament. So a lot's on the line here for this Aztecs team. The next couple days, you can stack up some really good resume wins if you can beat Oregon tomorrow, and then whoever you play on Saturday. I mean, you could play teams like Alabama, you could play teams like Texas A&M, you can play teams like Houston, and I mean, if you're talking about the absolute dream scenario for this team, and if they end up winning this tournament, I mean, that the Aztec game will feel like such a distant loss if that can happen. And it already really does with their win today over Creighton. And you kind of felt a little bit like this was brewing here because they played pretty well against Gonzaga. They did not look overmatched against them. They did not get blown out by Gonzaga. They lost by 13, but I mean, at times of that game, it was a single digit game. They're holding their own. Gonzaga did not put up their patented 100-point game. They put up 80 points, but a lot of that was from the free throw line. And you kind of felt like maybe there's something here. Maybe there's something brewing with this Aztec team putting things together early on in the season. And so far, I've been impressed. I really have with everything that this Aztec team has shown so far this year, being a new group that it is. You just a lot of questions, and so far the questions have been answered to this point. Now it's a long season. I'm not saying that, oh yeah, they'll win over Creighton today, they're easily gonna do XYZ. Like, nah, they could still have losing streaks, and they're still going to have games where they don't look good. But today was one of those you maybe kind of saw it coming a little bit with the way that they played, and if you get guys that are on the court that are healthy, I mean, shoot, just having a healthy Miles Bird out there today, all the difference in the world. All the difference in the world. He wasn't healthy against Gonzaga. He just wasn't. Now, a healthy Miles Bird out there today puts together the game that he puts together, 16 points, went on a streak there in the second half. Like, that's what I wanted to see. I hate watching teams that have a bunch of injuries and they look out of sync. And it's like, get on the court, get healthy, and then see what we got. And that's why it's frustrating at the start of the year when you see and hear that Reese Waters is going to be missing a bunch of time, because you wanted to see this Aztec team out there with everybody healthy. But so far, even with Reese down, BJ Davis has stepped in and they haven't really missed a beat yet offensively. So that's a good sign. Very, very good sign there. All right, coming up in the show today, Will Brinson will be joining us at 4 p.m. We're going to talk to Jon sometime later in the show about this game and the Aztecs games moving forward here in the Players Era Tournament. And also, Juan Soto. There's been a lot of conflicting reports about Juan Soto and his future. Shocker. We'll talk about that coming up next right here on Jon and Jim. All right, back here on Jon and Jim. That was a fun game today. That was a really fun game today. Aztecs blowing out Creighton. I didn't think it was going to be a blowout win. I thought that the Aztecs had a really good shot against Creighton, especially with their point guard, Ashworth, out of today's game with a heavily severe ankle sprain. I thought, okay, they have a good shot today to pick up a win. Would you obviously like to have a full team and then have a full team? Okay, yeah. But at the same time, you play who's in front of you and you deal with their problems and your problems accordingly. And they did that today and they picked up the win. And even without, Ashworth for Creighton's still a really good team. Kalkbrenner is a really good player. He is damn near All-American. Maybe he'll be an All-American at the end of the season. And they just bottled him up today. Like he did not have a game that I thought he was going to have today against the Aztecs. I thought he was going to be a bit of a problem, especially seeing what Graham Ike did against the Aztecs last week for Gonzaga. I thought this could be a little bit of a tough test again, going from Ike to Kalkbrenner. I'm thinking to myself, like, those two matchups in any season is difficult for a team, but going back to back against those two guys, it's going to be a tough task. But Jared Coleman-Jones, Taj DeGorville, Magoon Gwath, all those guys, Pharaoh Compton, like Miles Heide, they did a great job against Kalkbrenner today. Only limited him to, I think it was 11 points, only 5 rebounds. He did not lead the game in rebounding. He was not really a factor down low. He had a couple moments, but he did not take over the game at all. And that's a credit to this Aztec defense, really putting the clamps there on Ryan Kalkbrenner. All right, so Juan Soto. He put out today, he put that out today on social media, and he did a little bit of a troll job. He put out on social media today that it's decision time. And the first thing I thought to myself was, okay, this is a troll job. You have not made a decision, and you'll not make your decision like this. We're going to get a Jeff Passan tweet, most likely, about where you're going to sign here in the future. But he put out a tweet, and he's like, I'm signing with Celsius. Okay, that's great. Well, there's been multiple reports about Juan Soto and where he's going to go. And I find it funny because all these reports, they're all different. Like every single report is different. You got one report from Bob Nightingale saying that these teams have made offers to him. You got another report by the New York Post or people that cover the Mets saying that there's been no offer to Juan Soto. And then you got John Heyman saying reports like, oh, he's likely going to go to the Mets. And it's just all over the place. It's a complete S show. There's not one singular through line with these reports for Juan Soto. And I'm like, okay, so nobody has any clue. People have just heard things and they're going to run with it. And Bob Nightingale, of all people, is talking about these teams have made offers to Juan Soto. The Yankees, the Mets, the Blue Jays, the Dodgers, the Red Sox. I'm sure one of those teams is probably sitting there looking to each other or texting back and forth in their front office saying, what the hell did we make an offer to Juan Soto? And it's Bob Nightingale, so take that for what it's worth. It's Bob Nightingale. I mean, I wouldn't be shocked if these teams have made offers or these teams are in on Juan Soto. They've obviously met with Juan Soto, Red Sox, Yankees, Dodgers, right? But to think that all of these teams have made offers already, I'd be like, I don't know about that one. I still have yet to see a number out, by the way, on Juan Soto. And I've said $600 million. Yeah, I don't know about that one. I don't know about that one for Juan Soto. Great player. Would absolutely love him on my team, but not for $600 million. I mean, $600 million, you are, depending on the years, like if you gave him a 10-year, $600 million deal, $60 million a year, that's insane. Juan Soto is a top 5 player in the sport. He is not far and away the best player in the sport. He's not. And in baseball, one player, we've seen it, doesn't make or break a team. It can, but not one player can carry a team by himself. And Juan Soto, I don't think is that guy or should be considered that guy. He's a freaking awesome, fantastic, great player. But to lead the way and be the guy, $600 million, like Aaron Judge is the best player in the sport, second best player in the sport. He had the best offensive season in baseball, Aaron Judge did. And he only got a $360 million contract from the Yankees. Now he's older than Juan Soto. I get that. But $360 million for Aaron Judge. And you're going to give Juan Soto $600 million? Again, I'd have to see the years on that. If you gave him a 15-year, $600 million deal, that's crazy. But the years, I think, would help out the AAV. And just looking right here, $600 million, $40 million a year, you could deal with that. But still, that's a massive commitment for a guy that hasn't won an MVP. He's not the face of the league. He's a top 10 player in the sport. But I think one of these teams, whoever gets him, it's fair to, it's not unreasonable to say, yeah, a little bit of an overpay. And you can overpay for somebody and that player still be really, really good. There's only very few players that are worth that type of money, if any, in baseball. Juan Soto, is he worth that much? I say no. But we'll see. We'll see what he does there. All right. Will Brinson will be joining us today, 4 p.m. We got the wrap in the 4 p.m. hour. But coming up next, is Nolan Arenado and Manny Machado going to share the field in 2025? Is that a possibility? Could those two players, rivals of each other, the last half decade, could they be sharing the field in a Padres uniform next season? We'll talk about that coming up next. All right, this update is brought to you by Taco Bell. San Diego State blows out Creighton today, 71-53 in their opening game of the Players Era tournament. Next up, they'll take on Oregon tomorrow at 1 p.m. And then Saturday, they will play their final game of the Players Era tournament. All of that is to be determined based on tomorrow's games. And according to reports, the Mets, Yankees, Blue Jays, Red Sox, and Dodgers all have made offers to Juan Soto in the final Aztec football game of the season this Saturday, 7:30 kickoff, 5:30 pregame right here on San Diego Sports 760. The Slow Roasted Cantina chicken menu is here to stay with ingredients like purple cabbage and freshly prepared pico de gallo. Try it today at a participating U.S. Taco Bell location while supplies last. Contact store for participation, which varies. All right, back here on Jon and Jim, taking you 6 p.m. tonight. Final show of the week, by the way, because the Aztecs play tomorrow afternoon, and then it's Thanksgiving. So final show of the week, final Jon and Jim show of the week, and then me and Jon will be reunited next Monday right here starting at 2 p.m. So earlier this afternoon, or earlier today, I guess, Nolan Arenado, it was reported that he's willing to move to first base because Paul Goldschmidt is not a St. Louis Cardinal anymore. And it's interesting because Nolan Arenado has been a Gold Glove third baseman for like ever. But this might lead the way for Nolan Arenado to be traded. Now, he still has a massive contract on his hands. That would have to be taken care of as well. But the Cardinals aren't a team that's close, and they need assets. And according to Katie Wu of The Athletic, the Cardinals are assessing the interest level of Nolan Arenado, and Arenado is telling teams that he is willing to move to first base with a new club, or at least play a lot less of third base. Is that an option for the Padres? Potentially, but then you look at the contract and I'm like, yeah, I don't know about that one. Let me pull up this contract right here. So Nolan Arenado, signed that huge contract with the Cardinals after being traded there. And right now, Nolan Arenado, his contract, as it pulls up right here. Yeah, he signed that 8-year, $260 million deal. He still has 3 years left on it. Next year, $21 million. 2026, he's making $16 million. And then 2027, he's making $15 million. But the luxury tax number on all 3 of the years, 25 through 27, is $25.5 million. It just doesn't make sense if the Cardinals aren't going to eat like 85% of that deal. It just doesn't make sense at all. And Nolan, it would be the most like ironic and weird thing if all of a sudden Nolan Arenado's on the same team with Manny Machado, two guys that have kind of been rivals. I mean, if you want to call them rivals, absolutely. But, both guys vying for Gold Gloves year after year after year, and majority of the time going into Nolan Arenado. It would be kind of weird seeing both of those guys in a Padres uniform. And it'd be even weirder if you had Nolan Arenado at first base and then Manny Machado at third base, and you got Manny Machado, thrown over to Nolan Arenado. In this report from MLB Trade Rumors, it says theoretically it's possible that the club could have an infield, the Padres, of Machado, Bogarts, Cronenworth, and Arenado from left to right, with Arise as the DH. From time to time, Machado could get a breather as the DH, with Arenado moving to third and Arise playing first. The only way this makes sense is if the Cardinals eat a lot of the 3 years remaining of his contract. So he has 3 years left on his deal. The luxury tax number is 25.5. Next year he's getting paid 21, then 16, then 15. He's 34 years old too, by the way. He ain't young anymore. He's 34. What would you even give up for Nolan Arenado? If you were to have the Cardinals eat a bunch of money, you would need to probably send over a pretty good package. You would probably need to send over something that is worthwhile for the Cardinals for them to eat that money. So you're not slabbed with however much, was left on his deal. The luxury tax number, though, 25.5, that it just doesn't match up. It doesn't match up. So guy just wants to, I'll move to first base. That to me is like he wants to get traded badly. I'll move anywhere just to get me off of this team because the Cardinals aren't going anywhere. Keith Law gave their manager of the year vote because Keith Law is a giant nerd loser. But the Cardinals aren't going anywhere. Paul Goldschmidt, done. Nolan Arenado, 34 years old. He's not putting up MVP numbers anymore. They're not a team that's anywhere close. The Padres are much closer. So if Nolan Arenado were to be traded, he's putting it out there. Yeah, I'll play different position, guys. I won't play third base anymore. I'll play first. Please take me. Get me out of here. If the Padres were interested in Nolan Arenado, would you like that as a Padres fan? 70470. Start your message with team. Hit me up on the talkback mic. Just go to the iHeartRadio app, search out San Diego Sports 760, click on that little talkback mic, and then send me a talkback if you would want Nolan Arenado to be on this Padres team. I can see it from both sides, but I don't know if it makes much sense to go and trade for a 34-year-old third baseman when you don't need a third baseman and then move him to a completely different position at first base. And you're also tabbed with taking on a lot of his remaining contract. I don't know about that. I don't know about that one. But hey, if it's something that could be worked out, then maybe. Because the Padres and AJ Preller are going to have to be very creative this offseason. They don't have the money to go out and sign a Pete Alonso to go play first base. And they have needed a first baseman for the longest time. Putting Jake Cronenworth over there, that ain't it. Putting Luis Ariz over there, that ain't it. Putting Donovan Solano over there, that ain't it. They haven't had a first baseman on this team since Adrian. And that's been a long time. They've needed to upgrade that position for the last however many years, and they just haven't done it. They kind of just, oh, you can play first base. I know Eric Hosmer. Okay, we got Eric Hosmer here, but he was a disaster. And you really want to put a 34-year-old that's never played the position before over at first base? Okay. I don't really know if that would work out. And with the money, doesn't really make much sense, but seems like Nolan Arenado just desperately wants out of St. Louis if he's telling teams, yeah, I'll play a different position. I just don't see it. I just don't see it happening. I just don't envision the Padres making a move for Nolan Arenado because it's going to cost you a little bit of draft capital, not draft capital, but prospect capital, and the money is the biggest thing for me. That's the biggest thing for me. So Nolan Arenado looking like he wants to get out of St. Louis, play a different position. And, Padres, the ties there with Mike Schilt. Okay, if you want to put two and two together, you can, but I just don't really see it happening. And it would be very ironic too. Like in the chat, Barrett619 says, oh, the irony of Arenado coming to San Diego to play first base when everyone has been saying he was better than Manny, yet Manny's still playing third at an elite level. That would be very, very ironic how the guy that has won a Gold Glove almost every single year that Manny Machado has been in the National League, yet Manny Machado is still playing an elite level defense at third base, and Nolan Arenado is the guy now that has to move positions and go over to first base. It would be very, very ironic if that happened. All right, coming up, Will Brinson will join us later in the show. Jon, theoretically, is going to join me later this afternoon. But coming up next, Aaron Rodgers is about to make it all about himself once again. We'll talk about that coming up next. All right, back here on Jon and Jim on a Tuesday. taking you to 6 p.m. tonight. Will Brinson will join the show at 4 p.m. Riding solo. Final day of the week because it is Thanksgiving. And if you are wondering about what will be on the station during Thanksgiving, well, you're in luck. Here you go. Giants Cowboys will be on at Thursday at 1 p.m. Then Friday, Black Friday game. We have Raiders and Chiefs right here at 11:30 a.m. And then Thunder and Lakers on Black Friday as well at 6:45. So we have a bunch of play-by-play here during the week. And then San Diego State, obviously, tomorrow at 1 p.m. And then we have Saturday will be kind of crazy. Saturday, we have Aztec football. And then we don't know what time San Diego State basketball is playing. So stay tuned for that, because when we figure out the timing for everything, we'll let everybody know where you can listen to all of those games there. So Wednesday, tomorrow. My days are all mixed up, especially when you do solo shows. It's like your head just spins because you're doing so many different things. And it's like, oh, what day is it? Oh, it's only Tuesday. Feels like it's Thursday. No, it's only Tuesday. But tomorrow after the Aztecs game against Oregon, we'll figure out when the Aztecs will play on Saturday. So Aaron Rodgers. Oh, Aaron Rodgers. He was on the Pat McAfee show this morning. And the thing with Aaron Rodgers is he just needs all the attention. He is a guy that always needs attention. And it's pretty clear to just about everybody in the sport that it's probably over, buddy. You're in a lose-lose, no-win situation here with the Jets, having to get a new GM and a new head coach. You're not going to be sticking around for long there, buddy. And wherever team that you would go to, I don't see a quarterback 40-plus years old leading in a team or going to a Super Bowl or the playoffs. And I can't even think of a team that would want to take Aaron Rodgers on, that they're that close. All they need is just a quarterback, and they're that close. I just don't see it. And you know what's going to happen now. Aaron Rodgers, throughout the entire offseason, is going to go on the Pat McAfee show and a stupid hit and say, well, we're thinking about things, and I'll give you a decision then, and blah, 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 and just make sure that he stays in the spotlight for as long as possible. And that's what he does. Aaron Rodgers does this. He has to be the center of attention. Why he's still doing these hits on the Pat McAfee show when he's a quarterback of a 3-7 football team makes no sense. I just don't get it. Like, if he is retired and does these hits and he talks about the entire league, okay, but he's still a quarterback in the NFL for an awful, awful team. And his future up in the air as it is, I think everybody thinks that, like, dude, it's done. It's time to hang him up. You have nothing left to prove. You've already won a Super Bowl. You're a 4-time NFL MVP. Like, the Achilles injury really, really hurt him in many ways other than just his Achilles. Like, not many players come back and look the same after an Achilles injury. And has any player tore their Achilles at 40 years old and come back and looked better? Like, no, it just doesn't happen. So Aaron Rodgers going to make it about himself pretty much all offseason, can guarantee you that. And he'll probably return because he just, can't stay away. And at the end of the day, it's going to be another offseason. It's almost like Brett Favre 2.0. Ironic, right? Where you don't really know what's going on with Aaron, and it just drags and it drags and it drags. And I would bet whoever goes in there for the Jets as their new GM and head coach, there's no way they're going to want any part. They're not going to do any part with Aaron Rodgers. They don't want him on this team. They're not going to want to deal with all the antics and the flat earther theories and all the political stuff that he does. They're just not going to want to deal with it. They're going to want their own quarterback. They're going to want their own system. and Aaron Rodgers is going to be looking for a job. And I don't know what team in the NFL will say, you know what? Yeah, Aaron Rodgers makes sense to us. It would be kind of ironic and very funny if Aaron Rodgers gets released this offseason, which there's a good chance of that happening. And then the Raiders call, and then he goes to the Raiders, and then Devontae Adams, his buddy, who forced his way out of Las Vegas to go hang out with his buddy in New York, is sitting there thinking to himself, what the hell? Like, I was just there, and I just left, and I'm here, and I'm in a bad situation. And it would be very ironic if the Raiders ended up picking up Aaron Rodgers if they don't get a quarterback this offseason, because Gardner Minshew, he's out for the year. He ain't going to do it long term. I don't even know who their backup is there. But I just don't envision a team this offseason sitting there saying, yeah, you know what? Aaron Rodgers makes sense. Absolutely. Yeah, he makes sense for us. We can win with Aaron Rodgers, when it has not worked in New York and it ain't going to work anywhere else. Highly, highly doubt it. I just don't see it. I just don't. And if a team picks him up, then guess what? Congratulations. You've just picked up the circus. You have now become the circus. And no franchise that's smart is going to think Aaron Rodgers is going to help them win. Not going to happen. So if a team does pick him up, it will be a team that has been dysfunctional or it's not a good franchise. And then they pick up the circus and Aaron Rodgers, put those two together, and guess what you get? You get the 2024 New York Jets in 2025 with your franchise. So congratulations. You're just now going to be featured a little bit more, but this thing's still going to remain the same, which is you're not going to win with them. I just don't see it happening. So we'll talk more about that later in the show. We'll hear from Aaron Rodgers too. I'm sure Brent will be happy to get that sound when he gets back in studio. Oh yeah, Aaron Rodgers stuff. But coming up next hour, Juan Soto. Have the Dodgers made an offer to Juan Soto? Also, we'll get more into this Aztecs big win over Creighton today, over number 21 ranked Creighton, 71-53, and a blowout win for the Aztecs. We'll hear from Dave Velasquez, Pharaoh Compton in the show. Will Brinson will join us at 4 p.m. The wrap at the 4 p.m. hour as well. And of course, my back page to finish it up. We're taking you to 6 p.m. tonight right here on Jon and Jim. Stay with us. All right, this update is brought to you by Taco Bell. San Diego State beat number 21 Creighton today, 71-53 in their opening round game of the Players Era Tournament. Next up, they'll take on Oregon tomorrow at 1 p.m. According to reports, the Mets, Yankees, Blue Jays, Red Sox, and Dodgers have all made offers to Juan Soto. And the final Aztec football game of the season this Saturday, 7:30 kickoff, 5:30 pregame right here on San Diego Sports 760. The Slow Roasted Cantina chicken menu is here to stay with ingredients like purple cabbage and freshly prepared pico de gallo. Try it today at a participating U.S. Taco Bell location while supplies last. Contact store for participation, which varies.
Getting you all set for that drive home. Let's just start the show. Here's Jon and Jim.
All right, hour 2 on Jon and Jim on a Tuesday, taking you to 6 p.m. tonight. Aztecs, fantastic win today over number 21 ranked Creighton. Right now, Oregon, their next opponent, is trailing Texas A&M 42-38 with 13:51 left in the game there. So it's not a bracket style, so it's not like they would face the winner of this game. They're facing Oregon regardless of the outcome in their game against Texas A&M. So I don't know if it'd be better to face an Oregon team coming off a loss or a win. I don't think it really matters that much. Still going to be a tough opponent nonetheless. Oregon coming in to this tournament undefeated. And no matter what, they will be facing the Aztecs tomorrow. But yeah, San Diego State looked, they looked really good today. Every facet of the game, defensively, offensively, shooting threes. BJ Davis leading the way with 18 points. I saw this stat from John. He posted this. Let me just pull this up here. And it's kind of incredible to when you hear this. So BJ Davis today. All right, let me just find this here. BJ Davis is the second Aztec guard, 6'2" or shorter, with at least 18 points and 8+ rebounds in a game since at least 1996, 1997, joining the only other player to do it, which is Malachi Flynn in 2020, the year that we shall not talk about because of, COVID and 30-2 and whatnot. But that's incredible. So BJ Davis is only the second Aztec guard that was 6'2" or under with at least 18 points and 8+ rebounds in a game since 1996, 1997. That's amazing. It just shows you the growth of this kid over the season. Sophomore guard, didn't really play at all last year. Like, the only time he played was in blowouts, so you really didn't get to see much from him. But he broke out and has broken out in a big way so far this year. The scrimmage against UCLA, and you see, 28 points against UCLA. You're like, what? Excuse me? You said, how many points did he have in that scrimmage? And really, can you take much away from a scrimmage? But so far, though, that scrimmage is now translated to on the court in these games this year, being in double figures every single game this season for the Aztecs, averaging over 14 points a game, leading the way. And it's especially big because of the loss of Reese Davis. That was the number one question for this Aztec team is, all right, you lost your number one scorer. Where are you going to go to pick up points now that he's out for the foreseeable future? And so far, so good. It would have been nice to have Reese Waters, a healthy Reese Waters in the game against Gonzaga. Like, duh, absolutely. But even with Reese Waters healthy against Gonzaga, that still would have been a tough game. And Aztecs, Gonzaga is, I think, probably going to be the number one team in the nation here coming up next week because of UConn's loss the other day against unranked Memphis. Actually, no, yeah. That's right. Yeah. Gonzaga. Yeah. I was looking at a score and I was like, oh, they lose here? Yeah, because UConn just lost again today in the Maui Invitational to Colorado. 73-72. I'm sure Dan Hurley's very, very happy about that one. So, yeah, Gonzaga could jump up to be the number one team in the nation, depending on what Kansas does here. But, Kansas, their next game is against Duke here tonight. And if they lost that game, Gonzaga could be the number one team in the nation. So losing to Gonzaga at home isn't this like horrible loss that some people might think it is. But today's win against Creighton, I think, is as good of a win you could have early on in their season with their schedule. Yes, Creighton was missing one of their best players, but you were also missing one of your best players too. So, things even out. You're missing one of your best scorers. They're missing their starting point guard. And the game wasn't close today in the second half. Think about that. Wasn't even close in the second half. Aztecs jumped out to a 17-point lead there. And that was it. That was the game. 5 minutes left, 17-point lead. They just got red hot from three. BJ Davis, Miles Bird looked incredible. And the scoring options on this team now, which was a big question mark for this team. Now, all right, BJ Davis, he's a big-time scorer. Miles Bird, when he's out there healthy, he can put up 15 to 20 points a game. Nick Boyd putting up 23 points against Gonzaga. Didn't put up that many today, obviously, but still he can give you 10 to 15 a game on any given night. I thought Magoon played really well today. Thought Jared Coleman-Jones played very well today as well. And then their bench, their very, very young bench, including Wayne McKinney, who is the vet on that bench. But you look at what they did today. Miles Heide, he got a basket. Farrell Compton put up 6 points. Wayne McKinney gave you 6 points. Taj DeGorville, 4 points, 3 rebounds off the bench. So it was just an overall team effort, team win. I'm excited about this group of players going, forward this season. Talking to Aztecs coaches and getting kind of the vibe of this team this year. They thought, this could be a really good team. And that was before the injury to Reese Waters. And after the injury to Reese Waters, it's disappointing, but it's also, I think, encouraging and seeing what this team has done so far early on without Reese, the big win over Creighton today, holding their own against Gonzaga. I think they still feel, okay, we got something here. I think we have something here. And I think they have something here too. I think that this team, once Reese gets back, think about this. When Reese gets back, what are you going to do? You're going to put BJ Davis on the bench? You're not putting Miles Bird on the bench. You're putting Magoon Gwath on the bench. Then you don't have really any size down low. You're not benching Nick Boyd. Think about that. BJ Davis, who is your leading scorer right now, is then going to go to your bench for Reese Waters. That makes your bench one of the best in the Mountain West Conference. You got a guy that can put up 18 to 20 a game coming off your bench. Wayne McKinney can give you a scoring outburst at any moment. You got two guys, Taj DeGorville and Farrell Compton, that have looked really solid this year. Really solid this year. So, when you have one of your star players go down, it's an opportunity for someone to step up. And that's what BJ Davis has absolutely done. He has stepped up in the absence of Reese Waters, and he has really shown that he is a big-time scoring threat for this Aztec team. As a sophomore, a 6'2" sophomore, by the way. He's not 6'7", 6'8". He's a guy that can get up his shot almost anytime he wants. He's showing Steph Curry range today. And you put him on your bench. All good things and all good, I guess, problems, quote, to have if you're Brian Dutcher, to where you insert Reese Waters in the starting lineup, or hell, maybe you just can't take BJ Davis out of the starting lineup, so you have to keep him in the starting lineup, and you got to put Reese Waters on the bench. Maybe that's what you got to do. I don't know, but going forward, these are good problems to have once Reese gets back, knowing that BJ Davis has stepped up in his absence, and they have not missed a beat from that position on the team to put up, some points when they desperately need it. Because that was the question, is with Reese out, can they put up enough points to win games? And so far, so good. So far, so good. So San Diego State with the win today over Creighton, and I thought it was a very, very impressive win. And it really helps their resume going forward, because now a win over Creighton on a neutral floor. Creighton's going to be a good team this year. They're not going to be a team that's going to, lose a bunch of games. They're going to be a tournament team, most likely, health permitting. Kalkbrenner's a damn near All-American, and they just blew him out. They blew him out. So I think that going forward, you can't help but be excited about this Aztec team. I think Aztec fans are very excited about what they saw today, and going forward, what this team is capable of doing. Because it's always hard when you have so many new players and so many new faces that you haven't seen play. Like we have, the only player on this team that got any run last year that played today was Miles Byrd and Miles Heide. Miles Heide, he was more of a go in there and give Jaden Ledee a 4 to 5 minute breather. But even then, Jaden Ledee could play 38 minutes a game if he wanted, because he was that conditioned. But the one player of significance, Miles Byrd, is the only player that had any playing time last year. Everybody else, brand new faces to this Aztec team. And today they looked like a team that has been playing for longer than just 4 games together. I could tell you that. And that's a really good sign. Really good sign from a team that hasn't had much on-court play together this year, because they've had to deal with injuries and nagging injuries here and there. And I remember there was a time in the offseason where they're like, Nick Boyd's out, Reese Waters is out, this guy's dealing with something, this guy's dealing with something. And the only way to get better is if everybody's out there on the court practicing together healthy. And that's why today Miles Byrd looked so much more in rhythm, because he got a week of practice under his belt. He got healthier from his ankle turn. And you saw the results today, putting up 16 points in the win. His 2 games that he's been healthy this year, 20 points, 16 points. If he is going to be that consistent guy for you all year long, giving you that type of play, along with BJ Davis, breakout season for him so far, and then Reese Waters coming back, and Nick Boyd leading the team at the point guard position, Magoon Guath hopefully improving every single game for you, you're cooking here with something. And I like the direction of this team going forward, and going forward, not just this year, but next year as well, because these guys are very young. And if you can keep this core together, Nick Boyd has another year of eligibility. BJ Davis, you got to keep him here on the Mesa, being a junior next year. Miles Byrd, Magoon Guath, Farrell Compton, Taj DeGorville, right? Like Miles Heide, like these guys, if you can keep this core together and being in tournaments like today, the NIL tournament, where you're making money for the Mesa Foundation and for the team, keep this group together. That's when it's like, okay, year 2, they could be even better. And I just really like the direction of this team so far this year. All right, coming up later this hour, we'll hear from Dave Velasquez and Farrell Compton on the win. 4 p.m., we joined by Will Brinson. All of that coming up next right here on Jon and Jim. Hey guys, it's Jim from Jon Jim for Hamul Casino. You can join them every Monday night in December for a chance to win luxury handbags from top brands like Louis Vuitton, Versace, and more. You can get 10 winners every hour at 7 p.m., 8 p.m., and 9 p.m. And their Onyx players are going to receive an extra $100 in cash bonuses. Plus, one lucky winner each hour on Mondays gets the opportunity to pick a purse packed with cash up to $25,000. Yeah, you can't beat that. Also, at Hamul Casino this year, their New Year's Eve 2025, Tuesday, December 31st. You can join them at the holographic New Year's party, celebrate in style as they kick off their festives with $20 free play for all people at noon. You do not want to miss a moment of the action at Hamul Casino. And of course, Hamul Casino is the place to be for all sporting events. UFC 310, Saturday, December 7th at 7 p.m. You can watch that at the Tony Gwynn Sports Pub, Loft 94, or their poker rooms. Get to Hamul Casino today. It's fun above all else. All right, back here on Jon Jim, final show of the week. Thanksgiving is Thursday. Thanksgiving is it's becoming one of those holidays that people are just looking past, and I'm not happy with that. I'm not. It needs to be
join the club.
It needs to get its flowers. Like, Thanksgiving is one of the best holidays, bar none. Christmas, can't beat it. But I mean, the fact that the second November 1st hits, it's Christmas time. Like, no, guys, let's do this right. Okay. It's fall, Thanksgiving, and then once Friday hits, then you can go into full Christmas mode. That's how I view it. You can't skip Thanksgiving. Even though I did see a funny meme, it was like, after Halloween, it's Christmas, then Thanksgiving, then Christmas again, because everybody just loves to put up a Christmas tree and put up Christmas lights as soon as possible. I'm like, no, you gotta get to Thanksgiving first, because you got football, you got the turkey, you got family, you got the food, you got sitting on a couch, you got no work. Thanksgiving is a top-notch holiday, and you should pay your respects to Thanksgiving. Anybody out there that thinks Thanksgiving is now just like, yeah, whatever. No, you are wrong. Thanksgiving deserves its flowers. And it's not Christmas until Friday. Friday is when you can start doing Christmas stuff, because it's Black Friday and you go out and you spend money on Christmas gifts, and then you can put up the Christmas tree, and then you can put the Christmas lights. But if you got all the Christmas stuff up before Thanksgiving, like, you're not paying Thanksgiving it's respect. You got to make sure you respect Thanksgiving here. So Thanksgiving's Thursday, and if you're looking for opportunities to listen to the football games this week, Thursday we will be carrying the much anticipated Cowboys and Giants game.
I've been waiting all year.
Been waiting all year for that Giants Cowboys game on Thursday.
How's Daniel Jones doing?
He's non-existent anymore. It's going to be funny because that game will no doubt be awful. Like, everybody knows it's going to be awful. Even the two teams know that game is going to be awful. Yet it's going to have the biggest ratings by far. It will be like 35 million people watched the 9-6 Cowboys victory over the Giants. So you can listen to that game right here on San Diego Sports 760 Thursday at 1. Yay. Then Black Friday, which the NFL has now taken over. Raiders and Chiefs, 11:30 a.m. And then Thunder and Lakers that night at 6:45. Lakers are an interesting team this year. They're an interesting team because LeBron has been really good, and they have been really good at times
at home.
But when they get on the road, it's a completely different story. Like, I don't know what to really make of the Lakers just yet. They're in the middle of the West. They're 10-6. They're the 4 seed right now. It means absolutely nothing this early on in the season. The NBA doesn't even start until after Christmas. But stacking up some wins early on is very helpful for you if you've been a play-in tournament team for the last however many years.
You know, there's only one thing that matters to them right now: defending the NBA Cup.
Well, the NBA Cup group play will continue tonight.
Of course, it's Tuesday.
Lakers and Suns. Kevin Durant and Bradley Beal are expected to make their returns for the Suns tonight, but
which you can hear right here.
Yes, you can. You can listen to that game right here on San Diego Sports 760. Yeah, I don't know what to make of the Lakers just quite yet. Like, just how I don't know what to make of the whole Western Conference just yet. Like, part of me thought that the Warriors were going to be good. Then they lose back-to-back games when they have double-digit leads, and now I think they're bums again. Oklahoma City, they're going to win a bunch of regular season games because of their depth, but do they have enough to make a deep run in the playoffs? The Mavericks have taken a step back this year. Klay Thompson does not look good. Shocker. No surprise there. The Suns kind of dealing with some injuries here and there, but if they're healthy, they could be a top team in the West. So still early on, still a lot of question marks. Lakers, we'll see. But if LeBron's not going out and putting up 28 points a night, they're kind of just like an average team. You know, Dalton Connect's look really good so far. Probably one of the best rookies in his class.
Well, yeah, because we actually know who he is.
We know who he is.
It's not random French dude number 1 and random French dude number 2.
Exactly. But so far, I guess good for the Lakers, but it's definitely, you know, we're talking about it's November and nothing matters in November in the NBA.
Well, it's the same old with the Lakers. It's how's LeBron's body going to hold up throughout the season? You know, he's got so much, you know, miles on his knees. How, you know, can Anthony Davis stay healthy?
Exactly.
The big if it's those two things.
And then the others, how are they going to perform?
And like you said, can Dalton Connect? Can he stay consistent? Can he keep this up? If LeBron and Anthony Davis can stay healthy all year, then I think they'll be probably like a 5 or 6 seed. They're not going to be like the number 1 or anything in the West, but I think they'll be a middle of the road team. They might win their first round and then
I agree.
Give some people trouble in the second, but they're not. I don't think they're going to win any titles other than the prestigious NBA Cup.
Yeah, no,
first ever back-to-back champs.
I don't envision them making a run to the finals either. Things could change, but as of right now,
LeBron
middle
will
of the
get mad
pack,
and trade everybody. So
exactly.
A different team by Christmas.
Here's a hypothetical for you, if there was like a magic genie that said, "All right, LeBron, you're going to win an NBA title this year." But at the trade deadline,
you got to trade Bronny.
Yeah, trade Bronny. Would you take it right now? You have to trade Bronny for an NBA title. Do you think he says yes?
Yes.
I hope he says yes.
He would say yes because I think he's so obsessed with the whole Jordan, who's the GOAT thing. You don't see Jordan always like posting things by he's the GOAT, but you always see LeBron doing that.
LeBron's always saying it's family business. It's all about family. And it's not like a sacrifice, but hey,
LeBron's part of the family.
I know, but you have to trade your son off to like the like Orlando Magic or off to wherever.
Oh, come on. The Magic just beat the Lakers.
That is true. But you think LeBron would do that? No questions asked. I think he would have a little hesitation. I hope he would do it.
Not if it was a guaranteed championship. Sorry, Bronny. I hope you like DC.
Guaranteed championship.
Pepto-Bismol.
You have to trade your son. Yeah, he would definitely say yes. All right, coming up next, Dave Velasquez. We're going to hear from him and Farrah Compton after today's big win against Creighton. Will Brinson will join us at 4 p.m. Stay with us right here on Jon and Jim. This update is brought to you by Taco Bell. San Diego State beat Creighton today, 71-53 in their opening round game of the Players Era Tournament. Next up, they'll take on Oregon tomorrow at 1 p.m. Right now, Oregon leads Texas A&M 64-60 with 6 minutes left to play in the game there. And San Diego State football, their final game of the season, 7:30 on Saturday night, 5:30 pregame right here on San Diego Sports 760. And Lakers, they take on the Phoenix tonight. You can listen to that game right here on San Diego Sports 760 at 7 p.m. The slow roasted Cantina chicken menu is here to stay with ingredients like purple cabbage and freshly prepared pico de gallo. Try it today at a participating U.S. Taco Bell location while supplies last. Contact store for participation, which varies. San Diego Sports 760 celebrating the season with the iHeartRadio Holiday Special. One night to get you in the holiday spirit with exclusive performances from Janet Shea, Jennifer Hudson, Jimmy Fallon, and Kelly Clarkson, hosted by Mario Lopez. Listen to the show tomorrow at 4 p.m. Actually, we don't have a show tomorrow. Listen to the show.
You can
tomorrow.
listen to the holiday special tomorrow.
Yeah, you can listen to the holiday special show tomorrow because we don't have a show.
You don't need us to.
No. Yeah, on the iHeartRadio app tomorrow afternoon. All right. Yeah. So, tomorrow afternoon, by the way, San Diego State takes on Oregon. So no Jon and Jim in the final Jon Jim of the week. Oregon has a 2-point lead over Texas A&M with 5:41 left to play in that game. It's weird because, this game doesn't matter to the Aztecs at all.
No, it's predetermined.
It's already predetermined that
It's
they're
like
going to play
wrestling.
Oregon. And I'm used to like these tournaments and these brackets to be like, all right, the winner of this game then now plays San Diego State, or the loser of this game plays San Diego State, but not in this tournament.
That's not even the weird thing. The weird thing is like how they determine, because there's 2 pools of 4.
Oh yeah, it's confusing as hell.
So if say every team in each pool would be 1-1, they have this whole myriad of tiebreakers, and is super confusing. So
yeah, super confusing.
Hopefully it's just 2-0 versus 2-0, something simple.
Exactly. Like they're the amount of points they scored and how many they beat this team by. If they do that, so far so good for the Aztecs because they blew out Creighton today, 71-53. So if they are using point differential as a way to determine their opponent on Saturday, good thing for San Diego State potentially, because it's a good thing for them, I guess. They can play the later game. But then also, I think they would then play like a tougher opponent, right? You would think. They want the 2 best teams playing each other in this tournament, right?
That'd probably be Houston, because Houston's in the other side.
Houston, yeah. And when does Houston play today, by the way? Do they play today?
Yeah, they play tonight.
Okay,
I think they're the last game, or second to last game, because I think Notre Dame and Rutgers is the last game, I think.
Got it. All right, so let's see here. Yeah, Houston takes on Alabama tonight at 5 p.m. The 2 best teams in the Players Era Tournament. Houston's the 6th ranked team in the nation. Alabama, the 9th ranked team. So a matchup of top 10 opponents going tonight in the Players Era Tournament. After today's game, big time win. Dave Velasquez and Farrell Compton talked with Uncle Teddy about the win and talked about them going forward here to play Oregon tomorrow afternoon.
I know they play well in Vegas no matter what they're playing, but good heavens. Speaking of Vegas, guys.
Yes, sir. Nice to be
Farrell
here.
Compton, ladies and gentlemen. Bring him
Yes,
on
sir.
with a big round of applause. You must be happy, man. This was
great
awesome.
Win. Great win. It's just about personnel, knowing that Kalkbrenner was one of the biggest pieces on Creighton, and I was just trying to do all I can to figure him out leading up to the game. So the game time came, I can match him up and defend him exactly how I wanted to.
Farrell is number 5 if you just haven't been to a home game, and a 6'8" freshman from Las Vegas, as I mentioned, and 8 points and 4 rebounds today. The rebounding, the defense, the doubling, the preseason player of the year in the Big East, a tremendous conference. And between you and Coleman Jones and Goon, the plan going in and what you guys were going to do, were you going to double every time in the paint or not? Because the defense was really effective against this guy, and he's a big-time scorer.
Yeah, so our job was just have a bottom eye there defending him. So I can full front him and just know, like, if the ball came in the post, like, I was there, I was ready for it. So that's how I ended up getting that deflection at the end as well.
Amazing. Boy, it was just just awesome. And all around, what gets me about this is people talk, go-to guy. So you have a big star. Your team doesn't have just the one. The scoring, like I mentioned at the first media timeout, 8 guys had played, 8 guys had scored. The balance, even for a team that's called young, and it is young, and you're one of the young guys, but man, you got a bunch of options, do you not?
Yeah, yes, sir. It's all about playing hard, knowing that, like, the next guy coming in after you is going to do the same thing as go as hard as you just did. It's all about working your minutes and knowing, like, your teammate has your back at all times.
Yeah. And here, like they always said, and not just here, when Dutch was in Michigan, they always said, hey, I don't care who you are. If you're Jalen Rose or whoever, if you don't play defense, you sit next to Dutch on the bench. That's all there is to it. So to play defense and the way you guys play it, Aztec defense, you have to work or you can't be an Aztec. True?
Yes, sir. Defense is our personality. That's what we are. That's how we won that game. It's all about defense. We came together as a team. We locked in. We talked for 40 minutes straight. We got the win.
Farrell, I'm looking forward to seeing you. I've never seen better young and freshman guys than you and Taj and the rest of them. I'm looking forward to the season. So are the Aztec fans. Congratulations on a great performance.
Thank you. Go Aztecs. Yes, sir.
Amen. That's Farrell Compton, number 5 of the Aztecs from Las Vegas, a 6'8" freshman. And man, oh man, like I said, I haven't seen too many freshmen like that. And DeGorville. And the sophomore B.J. Davis did not look like a sophomore B.J. Davis. He looked like a senior out there today. The longest 10, speaking of the young guy, Farrell Compton, now I got to go to the old guy, 22 years as a manager, as director of operations, as a staff member, as an assistant coach. Are you aware of the fact that in terms of that many years, you have been a part of more Aztec wins than anyone in the history of San Diego State basketball? I don't know if you're aware of that, but you are. And David Velasquez, you got to be happy. Your boys, you coached it up there with Dutch and the rest of the staff, and they performed it.
Well, I appreciate that, Ted. We have a great group. It's a new group, new group to us, new group to our fans. But, man, they played some Aztec basketball tonight. They came in. They were focused on getting stops defensively. On offense, they played with great swagger and confidence, which is what you want for them to play offensively. I thought Miles Bird and B.J. Davis just had a different pop to them. And if it's not a guy like Nick Boyd tonight, to not drop your head and just continue to get stops, I thought we did a really good job. The game plan was to be as physical as you can on Kalkbrenner. Them not having Ashworth, hopefully he can get back and continue to help that team win. He's kind of the head of the snake for Creighton when he was hurt. And so our job was to go in there today and make everything tough for Isaacs, and he still had a great game. But we really wanted to be as physical as possible on Kalkbrenner, and we were throwing different stuff at him. And I thought our guys, for 40 minutes, they competed, and we got a great win today.
Hey, David, this Kalkbrenner is 7'1", 260 pounds. First team All Big East, and that's a big-time conference. Player of the year in the preseason poll. I thought he got befuddled. I thought he got to shoot a bunch of air balls. And I think you really got in his body and in his head, and I think the double down low was incredibly effective.
Yeah, we were effective with our post touch defense. I'm making life hard, like I said, be physical. But the thing I'm most impressed with, 2 offensive rebounds for Kalkbrenner is unbelievable. Because he gets so many easy baskets, just being so big and so around the rim. He's got great hands. And then, he's going to block shots. He was still an All-American on defense. He had 5 blocks tonight. That is elite. So I thought today, though, we kept attacking. We didn't get discouraged by his rim presence, and I thought we could have made some more kickouts, but our guys just stayed confident, like I said, and it was fun to see a group. A lot of, I think, for fans to understand, the team doesn't have that many hours together on the floor underneath the lights right now this season. Right. We're used to having guys that have been with us for 3-4 years. They've had 90 games of me going crazy at halftime. This is just the second. So, and our third Division I game with this group. And we're going to learn this team. I'm incredibly proud of their resiliency and their ability to listen at halftime. We got on them for some things that are just in our program, they're unacceptable. And they came out, they didn't say, they didn't make a face or drop their head. They just came out and they got the job done in the second half, and they stayed with it, and that's how you win those games.
Well, it's true. And mentioning, as David did, Kalkbrenner, 3-time Defensive Player of the Year in the Big East. That's Alonzo Mourning categories, that kind of player. So he was fantastic, and the Aztec bigs were banging and banging and banging. And I mentioned to Farrell that it's not an Aztec team with a Bradley a go-to guy, a one guy, clear out a zone, screen for. When you got BJ and Nick, and when you get Reese Waters, never mind Ashworth being gone. Reese has also did not play today. You have so many scoring options and guys who can do that, and they showed that today, I thought, big time.
They did. Yeah, they did. And you know, even Taj Diggerville comes in the game. He gets that nice little floater. I mean, the weapons on offense are a little different than we've had. We're running different, a whole different offensive system than we ever have. And it's allowing guys to really play with more freedom and not be as predictable. That's what's our big thing. We want to not be as predictable. We want to move that ball, and we want to move bodies. And so far, it's been pretty effective for us. Again, it's a learning process. It's learning throughout the whole season. And but man, I'm so proud of our young guys. I mean, Magoon Guak, he was with us last year, but again, that's his third Division I game. That's Farrell Compton's third Division I game. That's Taj's third Division I game.
Right.
You know, and we're relying on them. And then you go to the older guys. This is the only third time we've had them. Jared Coleman Jones and Nick Boyd.
That's it.
Now there's been other guys, BJ Davis, Heidi Bird. They've kind of been in a few fights with us, especially Bird, where they kind of understand that. But everybody else, this is a whole new system that they're playing under, whole new coaching staff. So we have to continue to do what led us to be successful today, which is concentrate on defense, play Aztec basketball, play together, share the ball, and then don't hang your head when you make a mistake. Just fix it. Yeah, and I thought our fix it tonight was outstanding. And we have a game to get tomorrow. Oregon's a really good team.
Mm-hmm.
The scout's done. We're going to be ready to go and move the page. One of the things about Aztec basketball, and you know this, Ted, from all the years, whether it's been in the Maui or other game, you win a game, enjoy it for about 30 minutes, an hour, hang out with your family.
That's right.
I'm going to take a deep breath for a little bit, and then you go right to Oregon. But you don't stress the guys out. You just give them a game plan. You go over it and over it. And in 24 hours, we're going to be playing Oregon, and we got to be ready to go. Or we're going to, that flight home tomorrow is not going to feel as good as I feel right now, and we got to make sure that we feel as good as we do right now tomorrow.
I understand. There's something in the water here. Whether they're playing Vegas at Thomas and Mack or the Mountain West tournament, or playing all these tournaments, the Aztecs always win in Vegas more than any team in NCAA basketball.
Hey, before we go on this next game, Aztec Nation, thank you so much for coming out to Vegas, for all the fans. If you're wondering, should I come, should I not, I hope we can add another 500 to 1,000 out here in Vegas tomorrow. Even the crowd we had today was so loud. We can feel the Aztec pride in the building. And you always, like you just said, you know what happens when we come to Vegas, Ted. So
win.
Appreciate it. Go Aztecs,
win. David Velasquez.
Yeah, the crowd there was definitely in favor of San Diego State. It was a home crowd for sure. Easy, flight, 45-minute flight to Vegas. If you don't want to fly, driving there, even though driving anywhere of distance the next couple of days is like suicide. I mean, it is the worst time of year to travel in a car, like driving somewhere. Like
I don't think planes are going to be any picnic either.
No, nothing will be, but a 45-minute flight, I think is much easier than trying to fly cross country to watch your team play. So probably will be another home crowd tomorrow for San Diego State. And they'll play Oregon, who right now is a good game. I mean, I haven't really been watching because we've been doing the show, but Oregon and Texas A&M, it's a 1-point game, 70-69. It's about under 3 minutes to play here.
221.
221, yeah. 221 left in their opener of the Players Era tournament.
That's goaltend.
San Diego State can pull off a win tomorrow, then you're likely going to face a top 10 team on Saturday. Just could not have, if they can pull off the win tomorrow. It's a big if, but if they can do that, that's like the perfect scenario for San Diego State. All right, coming up next, Colin Cowherd had an interesting take on my 49ers. We'll get to that. Also, Will Brinson will join us at the top of the hour. Stay with us right here on Jon and Jim.
This is a really good game right here, Brett. Oregon and Texas A&M, 1-point game with a minute left to play. San Diego State taking on Oregon tomorrow. I hope it goes into 5 overtimes. I kind of wish this was like a winner type of tournament. Because in this game, I would care more about this game.
That's why I wanted to go into multiple overtimes. They're tired tomorrow.
Yeah, that's the only reason why. That guy looks like he's 50 years old, number 32 on Oregon. couple extra years of eligibility there, brother.
Shape.
Yeah,
well, he's in his COVID year.
Oh, makes sense. 25-year-old. All right, so I don't know if we have enough time to play it right now because it's pretty long, but I'll talk about it and we'll play it later in the show. Colin Cowherd had an interesting take today.
You got time if you want to play it.
Okay, let's play it. This is Colin Cowherd. His take on what the 49ers need to do now going forward.
But yesterday I suggested, and apparently this was met with outrage by San Francisco media and fans. I suggested, I think San Francisco needs to reboot. Oh, I don't know. There's this crazy thing about being 5-7 in your last 12 games, old, expensive, and brittle. That apparently was outrageous. So San Francisco fans have not yet accepted a very harsh truth. How many great players do you have in their prime? Because Philadelphia got a lot of great players in their prime. Detroit's got a lot of great players in their prime. Last year was the last dance. And there's a reason there's only been one documentary on a sports team's last dance. It rarely turns out like you think. So, and if you don't think the bigger they are, the harder they fall in the NFL, let me give you the Patriots, who went from a 20-year dynasty to Jenga in 2 years. Crap all over the floor. With the Dallas Cowboys, 12 wins to, what the hell am I watching? San Francisco, you should know better. 1999, after Montana and Steve Young. Steve Young gets hurt in 1999. Next 12 years, made the playoffs 2 times. This is a sport where people are tackling each other. Big, strong men are tackling each other. Stuff falls apart fast. Seahawks dynasty, here it never was. This is going to be 2 years. So psychologically, the Niners have never, ever been able to hoist a trophy. And so how the Niners view themselves and how the rest of us view the Niners are 2 different things. Here's how the rest of us view the Niners. The Kansas City Chiefs toy with you. Under Kyle Shanahan, they're 5-0 against you, 4 blowouts. You're not close to San Francisco. You're not close to Kansas City. 0-5, 4 double-digit losses. They're getting better. You're getting old and worse and expensive. They keep rebuilding the O-line, rebuilding the receiving core. Andy Reid, Mahomes in his prime. You got Brock Purdy and an old, expensive, brittle roster. It's not close. Now, Baltimore and Buffalo have superstar quarterbacks, so they still have a shot. And many of their best players in Baltimore and Buffalo are in their prime. But Brock Purdy in an aging roster, does that sound like you're on the precipice of a 9-year run? And I look at that schedule this morning. You can blame whoever you want. You can go kicking and screaming. I'm looking at that remaining schedule. At Buffalo this week. Rams, at Miami, Detroit, at Arizona. Chicago's no layup. Not the way Caleb Williams is playing. So how you view yourself is not how everybody else views the Niners. I view you as 0-5 against Kansas City. You've had 3 coordinators in 3 years. They have the best coordinator and the best head coach and the best quarterback. And you have Brock Purdy, a coach that's good but blows late leads in big games, and you're on your 3rd coordinator, and none of those in 4 or 5 games can come close to Kansas City. Every time they play you, same result. Kind of ugly. That's how the rest of us view it. Big brand, a lot of wins, but this league, you crash hard.
Yeah, they were in the Super Bowl in February of this year. And
seems like 6 years ago.
In 12 games, they are now it feels like the drop off is massive. Now, here's the one thing that I will disagree with Colin on. Resetting things, like, No, they're not going to trade away Bosa. They're not going to trade away Fred Warner, Kittle. Like, that's not going to happen. This right now, this moment in time is their reset. They are in the middle of a reset. This happened in 2020. Now it was a COVID year and everything was kind of wonky, but when you make trips to the Super Bowl and you give all that energy and effort, and then you lose the Super Bowl, it takes about a year to recover from that. And the way that they lost this Super Bowl takes even longer. So, and all the drama and BS that they had in the offseason with these stupid holdouts, they should have never given the contract to Brandon Ayuk, probably, from the looks of it. They should have, they're going to release Debo. This is their reset. If they can finish off this year, which I'm hoping they finish off this year, they can get a top 10 draft pick or a draft pick in the early teens. They'll have a last place schedule next year. You have guys returning next season. They're not past their prime. You make a couple moves. You release Debo or you trade Debo. You get a healthy Brandon Ayuk back. The cap's going to go up, so you can go out and make some signings, make some trades, whatever. Like, they're not done. This is their reset. If they can get a top 12 pick next year, that hopefully turns into something good. They rebuild that defensive line and offensive line. You can make another run because Kyle's is still a good head coach, except he's also a little bit of a fraud. And I just still don't think that they're going to win, but they can still make another run. I don't think they're going to win, but they can make another run. This isn't the end of this iteration of the 49ers. All right, coming up next, Will Brinson will get his thoughts on that. He'll join us next right here on Jon and Jim. All right, this update is brought to you by Taco Bell. San Diego State beating Creighton today in their opening game of the Players Era Tournament, 71-53. Next up, they'll take on Oregon tomorrow afternoon at 1 p.m. Oregon just finished off Texas A&M, beating them 82-70. Moving over to NBA action tonight, Lakers take on the Suns. You can listen to that game right here at 7 p.m. on San Diego Sports 760. And the final Aztec game of their season, football, will be this Saturday, 7:30 kickoff. 5:30 is when our pregame coverage starts right here on San Diego Sports 760. The slow roasted Cantina chicken menu is here to stay with ingredients like purple cabbage and freshly prepared pico de gallo. Try it today at a participating U.S. Taco Bell location while supplies last. Contact store for participation, which varies.
Getting you all set for that drive home. Let's just start the show. Here's Jon and Jim.
All right, back here on Jon and Jim, taking you to 6 p.m. tonight right here on San Diego Sports 760. Jon is in Vegas covering the Aztecs Players Era Tournament, so it's just me and Brent for you the next couple hours here until 6 p.m. But right now, joined by Will Brinson, as we are every Tuesday here on Jon and Jim, brought to you by Hamul Casino. 7 restaurants, thrilling games, and a sports pub voted San Diego's best. Hamul Casino is fun above all else. Will, on Thursday afternoon, Giants and Cowboys, give me one thing that you're looking forward to for that game other than it's football.
So the best way this game could have gone is Jerry Jones agrees to sign Daniel Jones.
Yes.
And then we get the ultimate revenge game. That's not going to happen.
No.
Obviously, we don't think, and certainly he's not going to start, Tuesday. But I don't know. It's Thanksgiving football, so you should watch it. And there's gambling, and DFS is the best. It's an ugly game.
It's ugly, man.
Tommy DeVito might not. Tommy DeVito is questionable, which actually brings into play a Drew Lock game.
Oh.
And there's nothing better than a Drew Lock YOLO game,
Mm-hmm.
particularly between two teams that have nothing to play for. So Cooper Rush, Drew Lock, I'm trying to sell it as best I can. It's not sellable, but
No.
I think you can talk me into this game could be fun.
Yeah, I mean, like degenerates like us, we can find ways to make this entertaining for ourselves. The casual fan, it's just going to be on because it's football. But you're right. Yeah, we can. Gambling is a part of the game. Absolutely.
You can make anything interesting if you gamble on it.
Oh, for sure.
If you toss, I don't know, I think it totals like 37.5. Let's go over, and we'll just hope that Drew Lock throws a couple moon balls. Two to his own team and one to the other team. And we're good.
Absolutely. Yeah. Just that right there is how this game is interesting on a Thursday afternoon on Thanksgiving. Will Brinson joining us here on Jon and Jim. Last night, Ravens pulled away with the win. Chargers, Quentin Johnson, just the most brutal drop you will ever see, ever. And you thought he kind of turned a corner this season, and then he just drops one that goes right into his chest. But what I was going to ask you is just even with that drop, and I know the Chargers lost the game and whatnot, I mean, Jim Harbaugh just continuing to prove just how good of a head coach he is, because this Charger team is like completely night and day different from any Chargers team that we've seen in recent memory.
Yeah, I mean, I know the market I'm talking to, and I hope the market that I'm talking to knows that I feel the pain.
Yes, we all do.
I don't take the Chargers stuff lightly in San Diego, but like if Jim Harbaugh had coached Phillip Rivers, that team would have won a Super Bowl.
Yeah,
and I think Quentin Johnson. I mean, believe me, I had Quentin Johnson as captain in DFS. Had some like parlays with Quentin Johnson. It's a brutal drop. He's still running.
Right.
I like this team. I think this team bounces back this week against the Falcons because of Jim Harbaugh. Like coaching matters, and Jim Harbaugh is a very good coach, and they will be prepared. But yeah, to me, last night was mostly about, okay, let's take the AFC and put it in tiers. The Ravens, the Bills, and the Chiefs are one tier, and everyone else is a different tier. You can put the Texans wherever you want, slide them like into their own tier, or put them down with the Steelers, Broncos, Chargers, Dolphins, and Colts. But it is a 3-team tier, and I would guess that the AFC ultimately comes down to 2 games. And I don't know. It's too early. We don't know who they're going to be between, but it will be like Bills, Chiefs, Bills, Ravens, Chiefs. That is going to be one of those. 2 of those 3 teams will be in the AFC Championship game, in my opinion. As good as the Chargers are, and they are very good, and they'll make noise in the playoffs, I think. But like, it's more a byproduct of coaching and Jim Harbaugh getting this team up than it is like it being a great team.
Yeah, because you look at their roster and you kind of say to yourself, they don't have any business being like as good as they are, as quick as they are.
Ladd McConkey looks like someone you could end up coaching at a Pee Wee football game.
Right. And Justin, yeah, I know. And Justin Herbert has, not turned the ball over at all this season. The running game has been really good. J.K. Dobbins, the loss of him could hurt them going forward. But it just shows you what a good head coach can do for a football team that has just been adrift for the longest time. And they just needed some guidance. And that's what Jim Harbaugh is. Will Brinson join us here on Jon and Jim.
He's overcoming the Spanos.
That is the hardest thing to do, by the way, is to overcome that group to actually make the team competent and look good. Is this one of the ultimate like revenge seasons from a player in Saquon Barkley after the whole, off season, John Mara, I'll never sleep if he's on the Eagles and the whole contract stuff. And now he's just turning into, this just feels like every single game that he plays this year. If you're a Giants fan, you just have to look away.
I think the biggest, if Brian Dable gets fired, the biggest contributing factor will be Saquon Barkley.
Yeah.
Like the fact that they, like John Mara, and by the way, there may never be another all-season Hard Knocks either because of Saquon Barkley signing with the Eagles. The clip is, you watch it now, it like, at the time it kind of made sense, and I get it. Like the stat is going around, the Titans stink, the Raiders stink, the Giants stink. Those teams wouldn't be good with their running backs, right? Like if you added their stud running backs back, the running backs would just be questionable. Now Derrick Henry, Josh Jacobs, and Saquon Barkley are great with their new teams, but I think it eats at John Mara very badly that he let Saquon Barkley walk, and that Saquon Barkley is putting up a offensive player of the year season with the Eagles. And by the way, he will not be MVP. He will not. He won't. He's not going to win it. Derrick Henry ran for 2,100 yards in 2020 and didn't get an MVP vote and didn't even win offensive player of the year unanimously, which is wild. Like Saquon won't win MVP, but he is in the discussion, so to speak. And like the Giants look like complete bleep holes because of letting Saquon walk and then being terrible and paying Daniel Jones instead of Saquon.
And then he goes to your rival in division, which makes it a million times worse. Like if he went to, I don't know, the Cardinals, right? It's like, okay, but he's going to the Eagles. And then that clip will live forever of John Mara. Just the worst look for the Giants franchise. And it makes it worse by Saquon going out there and putting up like all top 10 all-time performances.
The same week that Saquon is being bandied about as an MVP candidate, they have to release Daniel Jones.
Oh, it's so brutal.
It's brutal.
It is brutal.
Thank God for the Jets.
I know, right? It's like the Giants like hold our beer, right? We got this. We'll take over the mantle of being the most dysfunctional franchise in the NFL this season. Don't worry, Jets. We got you. Will Brinson join us here on Jon and Jim. It seems like the tiers, staying with the Eagles here in the NFC, like Lions Eagles, to me, feels like almost a collision course for an NFC championship game. Do you feel the same way?
Yeah, probably. I think the I think the Lions are in their own tier as the best team in the. I think they're the best team in the NFL.
Yeah.
Like, like we talk about the AFC, Mahomes, Allen, Lamar, those teams. And again, this is go back to the Saquon argument. If you put Chuba Hubbard on the Eagles, he's running for like 1,500 yards.
Yeah.
You put Bryce Young on the Bills, and it's a bad football team. And Bryce Young's played good the last month. But in the NFC, the Lions, to me, don't – like Jared Goff's awesome. He's playing great football. But that team is so complete, top to bottom. Good offensive line, good defensive line. You go to great offensive line, great defensive line, even missing Aiden Hutchinson. You have Laporta, Jameson Williams, Amon-Ra St. Brown, the two-headed Sonic and Knuckles running back of, Jameer, I guess Sonic is Jahmyr Gibbs, and Montgomery is Knuckles. Like, they can beat you so many different ways. Now, they're going outdoors against Chicago on Thanksgiving Day. They might not put up their best effort. It's only their second outdoor game of the year, but we saw them go to Green Bay and dominate the Packers, which was really impressive. I would not put anything past this Lions team. If I was picking the Super Bowl right now, Lions, Bills, which is to say Eagles are right there. It's I think the Eagles are, and their rush rate is 50%, maybe 51 after last night, which is or Sunday night, which is insane. To run the ball more than 50% of the time in the NFL in 2024 is crazy.
Yeah.
They are a really good football team. I like the Lions more than the Eagles. And then you have to kind of figure out who's the third best team. Maybe someone from the NFC West, maybe someone from the NFC South, maybe at best. I think it's probably Lions, Bills, Super Bowl, maybe Lions, Eagles. You might be right. Like collision course in the NFC Championship game.
Staying with the NFC and then going to the NFC West that you just mentioned there, my 49ers, it's not looking good. And do you feel like this is like one of those fork in the road type of moments for this franchise where, I mean, look, going forward, you're not trading Bosa and Fred Warner and Kittle. Like these guys still have a couple more years left in them. Nick Bosa, obviously more than that. Kittle, a couple years left. Like they're going to give Brock Purdy a contract extension. Like they're not like the Jets, right? Where it's like, oh, they're all done. Their quarterbacks can retire or whatever. But it feels like this is a moment of their franchise where there's a couple ways you can go here. And it just feels like this team is teetering with the way that they played this year. How do you feel the future of this Niners team? How do you think it should go?
I feel like when you look at the NFC West, it's so week to week until you're like, oh man, now the Seahawks are back. I mean, the Seahawks were dead 3 weeks ago. The Niners are dead now, but they're 5-6. They're like a game out of first place.
I know.
And imagine if the Niners get healthy, win the division, or get in the wild card. However you want to put them in the playoffs, you don't want to play the Niners as a wild card. If you're like the NFC South winner is hosting the Niners, and Brock Purdy's healthy, CMC's starting to get going. I wouldn't rule out the Niners, but it does feel like a snake-bitten year.
Yeah.
That division to me is the ultimate wild card because whoever you play in that division, when it comes around to the first weekend in January for playoff games, you're like, man, won our division, like didn't get the number one seed, don't have a bye, hosting a playoff game, and we get these guys? Are you like the reigning NFC champs? Yeah. Are you kidding me? It feels like someone is going to get hosed by having to play a very frisky NFC West team in the playoffs in the first weekend.
Yeah, I look at it this way, Will. Like this team it feels like they're exhausted because the amount of like games they have played deep into the postseason the last couple of years, it feels like they played 6 seasons in 5 years with the Super Bowl trips they've gone on, NFC title games. And sometimes in the NFL, you just need like a rest. And I view this as kind of like one of those like rest type of years. And if it could shape out where, say they do finish in last place in the NFC West, well, then you get a last place schedule next year. You potentially get a top 12 pick in the draft, and you then can reset and not have like the stress of going to the playoffs like you have been the last 5 years weighing on you. And you can reset for next year. That's how I view the Niners' future.
Yeah, I mean, like, and the thing too is like, I think the Super Bowl hangover is a little overrated. But I mean, like, if you were like, here's the worst case for the Niners before the season, you're like, okay, worst case, this is what happens. It's not even as bad as the actual worst case. Ricky Pearsall got shot.
I know.
He got shot.
Yeah.
Like, CMC's hurt. Ayuk tears his ACL. Purdy gets hurt midseason. Bosa's hurt, and like the rookie wide receiver you got ends up getting shot. I mean, shot. Like it's crazy. So yeah, I think for the Niners, it wouldn't be the worst thing in the world to miss the playoffs, regroup. Yeah, you laid it out. I mean, get a good schedule, get a good draft pick, and come back again next year where they'll be the favorite again to win the division. If I were handicapping it, I would take the Rams to win the division. I don't put that much into Philly. I mean, Philly's great. They're playing awesome. I just think the Rams will find a way, particularly like this week, they should light it up. They steal the division, and then like Arizona gets in as a wild card that's kind of a problem for the NFC West or NFC South, excuse me.
Right. Yeah. Well, it's only week 12 here, so we got a bunch of time left in the season. Will, have a happy Thanksgiving. Enjoy Thursday watching the Cowboys and Giants. I hope you make some good bets on that one to enjoy it, and we'll talk to you next week. All right, man.
All right, see you next week.
All right, thanks a lot, man. Will Brinson there joining us on Jon Jim, brought to you by Jamul Casino, 7 restaurants, thrilling games, and a sports pub voted San Diego's best. Jamul Casino, it's fun above all else. So, you know how we talk about effort level in the NBA and how, we just want these guys to, show effort. Jamal Murray said something the other night, which is not a good look for him and the NBA. We'll hear what he said and talk about that coming up next. Hey guys, it's Jim from Jon Jim here for Jamul Casino, and we're close to December, and you can join Jamul Casino every Monday night in December for a chance to win luxury handbags from top brands like Louis Vuitton, Burberry, Versace, and more. There will be 10 winners every hour at 7 p.m., 8 p.m., and 9 p.m. Their Onyx players are going to receive an extra $100 in cash bonuses plus one lucky winner. Get this. Each hour gets an opportunity to pick a purse packed with cash up to $25,000. And to top that off, you get to keep the purse as well. If you're thinking about making some New Year's night plans, you can join Jamul Casino at their holographic New Year party, celebrating style as they kick off their festivities with $20 free play for all at noon. You do not want to miss a moment of the action. Also at Jamul Casino, it's a great spot to watch sporting events. Saturday, December 7th at 7 p.m. UFC 310. You can watch that at Tony Gwynn Sports Pub, Loft 94, or their poker room. Tony Gwynn Sports Pub has NFL, NBA, NHL action. It's a great place to watch a game, a great place to eat food as well. Their Slam Diego burger with truffle fries is amazing. Highly, highly recommended. You will not regret it. Get to Jamul Casino today. It's fun above all else.
So the in-season tournament, the new All-Star game,
incentives for that. The NBA is doing a lot of things to make their players just play hard. Like, just play harder. And I always thought, like, I don't know, you're making millions of dollars. You just, play hard in the first place. And that's a big turnoff to the fans watching these games. And you see these teams play and they're just not playing hard. Like a game in November, and it's like, whatever. And they're going through the motions. Or, last night, the Warriors, they had an 18-point lead, I think it was, over the Nets, and they lost that game. A lot of that has to do with just being, like, lazy. And the other night, the Knicks absolutely blew out the Denver Nuggets. Beat their ass.
145-118.
And
in Denver.
Yeah, in Denver. Jamal Murray, after the game, he said this, and I was like, it's not a good look.
The game before, they played in LA and won by like 20 points.
Correct. Yeah.
I just think it's a long season. Guys have lives outside of basketball. We just beat LA in LA. Got some guys that are live in LA, so stayed in LA. And like I said, I don't think the focus was there from everybody. And that's what happens when you don't have a focus. Like I said, it's not on coach. It's not on what plays are running. It's not on anybody else but the guys that are out there on the court. So, like I said, it's tough. It's a tough one to go back and watch or even accept. But it was expected. If that's the kind of energy that the whole team is going to bring to start the game and continuously, not have a response, then that's what happens. So we've been on the other side of it. I've been on the other side of it. And tonight we were on the wrong end of it. I just think
this is why the NBA and baseball, they aren't growing like they want to grow, because you have nights like this and you have games like this where the team just doesn't show up. If that happened in the NFL, guess what? You're cut and you're not playing anymore. Like the Carolina Panthers, one of the worst teams in the league. They played their freaking ass off this past weekend against the Chiefs, and they almost beat them. Why? Because these players have pride, and they know that if they don't perform or at least play hard, guess what? They're not playing in the league. And that's the difference between the NFL and the NBA and baseball, is especially the NBA. In the NBA, guys can take nights off and look awful, and they're going to get contracts worth $70, $80 million. Like, I watched a clip the other day from a long time ago. It was from The Shop, and LeBron and Draymond Green were talking about how there's guys in the NBA that don't even know how to play basketball. They're just there because they're athletic, they're tall, lengthy, they can shoot a little bit, and then they get to be on an NBA team and get millions of dollars. That is, to me, what is becoming wrong with the NBA. You have these teams blatantly saying, we didn't try tonight. Could you imagine if in the NFL, after the game, they're like, we didn't try tonight? Like, are you serious?
Well, one of the big things is Adam Silver kind of talks out of both sides of his mouth, because he'll sit there and talk about how important it is that we don't take load management days and we have to play. But then as soon as the players demand something, he immediately caves. We don't want to play back-to-backs anymore, because playing 2 games in, 2 days is just too much for us. So they get rid of the back-to-backs, and then they still complain. And it's like all the things that they complain about, he rushes to get rid of them, and then they just come up with something new to complain about.
I just think that when you hear things like that, and then you see what the NBA is doing, just to try to get these players to care and play with some effort. Like, the reason why the NBA Cup is now a thing is because these players wouldn't care until after Christmas, and they're not playing with the same effort every single night, consistently, night in and night out. They're taking nights off. They're resting. They don't want to play back-to-backs. And so they implemented this NBA Cup because they want players to just play hard. they're making changes to the All-Star game because no player gives a crap about the NBA All-Star game anymore. They're not going to play hard. They're not going to put any effort into it. And if we're boiling it down to like truly why the NBA is losing viewers, it's because players aren't putting effort out there from a night in and night out basis. And you have, fans like me and you, Brent, paying a lot of money to go to these games. And then you get the product like last night with the Denver Nuggets not giving a crap. That is the biggest problem with the NBA.
Well, that also leans into how they ruin the All-Star game and like All-Star Saturday night, because, the days of Jordan and Vince Carter and guys like that being in the dunk contest and it being appointment viewing is over. Because now it's like, hey, we grabbed 4 random G League guys and they're going to try to dunk for 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Enjoy.
It's what's really wrong with the NBA. And Jamal Murray just kind of tattled on himself right there. In my opinion,
he tattled on the whole team.
He tattled on the whole team.
I can't imagine the team's very happy about that.
And he also kind of tattled on the entire NBA because that's what happens more than often, more nights than not. Coming up next, Aaron Rodgers is a douche, and we'll also have the wrap, and we'll get to my back page later in the show. All that coming up next. All right, this update is brought to you by Taco Bell. San Diego State with a big win today over number 21 ranked Creighton, 71-53. BJ Davis led the way with 18 points and 9 rebounds. They'll take on Oregon in game 2 of the Players Era tournament tomorrow afternoon at 1 p.m. You can listen to that game right here on San Diego Sports 760. NBA basketball tonight. You can listen to that right here on San Diego Sports 760 as the Lakers take on the Suns, 7 p.m. tip-off time there. And San Diego State football, their final game of the season this Saturday night, 7:30 at Snapdragon Stadium, 5:30 is when our pregame coverage starts. The Slow Roasted Cantina chicken menu is here to stay with ingredients like purple cabbage and freshly prepared pico de gallo. Try it today at a participating U.S. Taco Bell location while supplies last. Contact store for participation, which varies. The Aztecs are back in action tomorrow from Vegas as they take on the Oregon Ducks. Pre-game with John and Ben starts at noon. Ted's got the tip at 1 p.m. right here on your home of the Aztecs, San Diego Sports 60. Aaron Rodgers is going to be now getting a lot of questions about, is he going to return next year? Is he going to play next season? I highly doubt he returns to the Jets. I don't think that their new GM and coach will want Aaron Rodgers, but of course, you know what Aaron's going to do. Classic Aaron. He's going to go on Pat McAfee every week, and he's going to talk about, his desire to play and make sure that he stays in as much of the news cycle as possible. I think everybody knows and says, yeah, it's time to hang him up, Aaron. It's time to hang him up. And this was Aaron today. Do we have that, Brent? Aaron on the Pat McAfee show. Shocker, really not saying much about his future.
As far as my future goes, I haven't told anybody in my life that I want to play in 2025 and not in the Jets. So that's 100% false. I actually said the opposite. I said that I'm going to wait and see what happens with at the end of the season. And if they want me back, and what happens with Brick, and what happens with the offensive staff, and obviously the GM at the time, and then they just fired Joe. There's a lot of things out of my control when it comes to that. But I've really enjoyed my time in New York. I mean, obviously we haven't had success that we've all wanted to have, but I've made some great friendships on the team. I've enjoyed living in Jersey. I've enjoyed time in the city. I've enjoyed getting to know the fans, and I came here to win here. So I'm not jumping off ship, I definitely want to play and not in New York. I don't even know if I want to play yet, but New York would be my first option.
All right. We know he's lying because he says he enjoys living in Jersey. So right there, he just called himself out.
So here's the thing, Aaron. It's not up to you, buddy. I hope that whatever GM that they hire has a spine and doesn't kneel to all of your wishes and basically have you be the GM and coach of this team and decide what players should be on it and what players shouldn't, and who should be coaching and who shouldn't, and who should be the offensive coordinator and who shouldn't. So if he only wants to play for the Jets next year, probably gonna have to hang him up, buddy, because I don't see any other team wanting you.
Somebody will take him. Look, this all boils down to the student becoming the master. He learned from the best, Favre.
Oh, yeah.
When it came to, I don't know, I might retire. Definitely won't make up my mind until after OTAs and training camp is done because, I don't like those things. So, I don't know. Every year I'll just come out and threaten to retire unless, the front office does something. I'll wait and see what they do. And, that's all he's doing. He's just going to drag it out. And it's like you said, he'll go on McAfee every week, even if he has nothing to say, because they pay him to go on there for some reason.
Yeah.
And, well, I think they kind of regret it, but they're in a contract and they can't get out of it now.
True.
But, yeah, he's just going to keep talking about it. And you think it's bad now, wait until the season's over. When the season's over, he's still going to go on McAfee, and he's still going to just randomly throw stuff out there on X and everything about how, yeah, maybe I'll retire, maybe I won't. It's just like, yeah, you know what you're gonna do. You're just gonna milk it.
So you think a team would actually want him?
Yeah,
Why?
because there's some teams out there, Jim, that just suck. You're telling me that, like, go look at like some of the teams and their starting quarterbacks that they wouldn't like take him. They're not going to pay him what he's getting paid now. Those days are over. He's, if he gets cut, he's not going to.
Well, even if some team wants him, Aaron's going to want to have to play for them too. Like, you can't just be like, oh, we're picking you up and you have to play for us. Like, I'm just thinking off the top of my head, teams that need a quarterback, like, he's going to the Raiders? No. Giants to stay living in Jersey? No. The Panthers, they still got to figure out what they're going to do with Bryce Young. The Saints? No. Give me another team. Any other team that you can think of? Because right now, the Titans? No. I mean, he would be going to like awful teams.
Well, yeah, and that's the decision he's going to have to make.
So then he's going to have to retire.
Well, no, or he's going to go play for awful teams, which he's already playing for an awful.
That's my
team,
point.
so.
Is like, if he has said, I only want to play for like a team that's a chance to win, well, then he's going to have to retire because he ain't playing for a contending team next year.
But see, he's arrogant enough though that he thinks he's Tom Brady. He can just go into these teams and then all of a sudden they're going to be ready to win, because he thinks he's still good. But like you'd start Trevor Lawrence over him if you're Jacksonville.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Well, one, because you're paying Trevor Lawrence $55 million a year. And two, while Trevor Lawrence hasn't been like great or even close to lived up to his number one overall pick status and the contract so far.
You would start Will Levis and his mayonnaise coffee over Rodgers.
But yeah, I would, because are the Titans close to winning the Super Bowl? No. So I need to see what I got with Will Levis and his mayonnaise loving.
I think we've already seen it.
Well, we've already seen it with Aaron Rodgers too, a 40-year-old off the ACL. I don't think there's any team out there.
Cleveland.
Oh God, no. There's no team that is close to a Super Bowl. All they're waiting for is a QB to put them over the hump and somebody that just make the right throws. That Aaron Rodgers would go play for.
If he wants to play, he'll have to play for somebody that's not that good.
And that's where the problem lies, is I don't think Aaron Rodgers is willing to go play for a crappy team. And if he's not willing to go play for a crappy team, then guess what? You're probably going to have to hang him up. And you're probably going to have to stop going on McAfee every week. And no one's going to talk about you anymore, Aaron, because then you'll be retired. And the next time people talk about you is when you're up for the Hall of Fame.
He could just go across town.
Yeah, I said
the Giants.
That's what I said. I said the Giants, no, because the Giants are in a full reboot and they want to go draft a quarterback because they're going to get a top draft pick. So if they draft,
they can learn from Aaron.
Oh yeah, like Aaron's a good person to learn from.
Yeah, look, it worked for Jordan Love.
I think this is it for Aaron, and I hope that whoever the Jets hire actually has a spine, and they don't, kneel to what Aaron Rodgers wants.
He'll be back.
If the GM allows it, and I don't know if the GM is going to allow that. All right, coming up next, we got the wrap. Also, more interesting twists with the Juan Soto sweepstakes, as reports are all over the place with Juan Soto. We'll try to sort out all of those reports coming up next right here on Jon and Jim.
time for the 2-minute drill with Jim Russell, brought to you by Hamul Casino.
What a performance today from the Aztecs as they dominated Creighton 71-53. One of the biggest stories this season has been the play of BJ Davis, who had 18 points today in the win and 9 rebounds. So far this year, he's been in double figures every single game for the Aztecs, averaging 14 points a game. BJ's really helped out a lot with the loss of Reese Waters and the scoring that he would have given this team this year. With him, the backcourt has been a threat. This Aztec team this year, there's a lot of unknowns. To me, BJ Davis being one of them. Dave Velasquez, postgame, talking to Uncle Teddy about this group of new Aztecs and how they've performed so far this season.
It was fun to see a group, a lot of, I think for fans to understand, the team doesn't have that many hours together on the floor underneath the lights right now this season. We're used to having guys that have been with us for 3-4 years. They've had 90 games of me going crazy at halftime. You know, this is just the second. So, you know, and our third game, really third Division I game with this group. And we're going to learn this team. I'm incredibly proud of their resiliency and their ability to listen at halftime. You know, we got on them for some things that are just in our program, they're unacceptable. And they came out, they didn't say, you know, they didn't make a face or drop their head. They just came out and they got the job done in the second half and they stayed with it, and that's how you win those games.
Next up for the Aztecs, they take on Oregon in Game 2 of the Players Era Tournament tomorrow afternoon at 1 p.m. Of course, you can listen to that game right here on your home of the Aztecs, San Diego Sports 760.
Hamul Casino. 7 restaurants, thrilling games, and a sports pub voted San Diego's best. Hamul Casino is fun above all else.
The Lakers are on the road tonight to take on Kevin Durant and the Phoenix Suns. Pre-game starts at 6:45 with tip around 7 p.m. right here on your home for Lakers basketball in San Diego Sports 760. I just saw a clip, Brent.
So UConn lost again today in the Mountain.
Yeah, I can't believe that.
They lost to Colorado 73-72.
Who just lost to Michigan State, who isn't that good.
And at the end of this game, there's a clip out of Dan Hurley yelling, I think, at one of his assistant coaches for holding him back from talking to the refs and talking Dan Hurley down. And Dan Hurley is just ripping into his assistant coach. And I mean, yes, does UConn win a lot? Yeah. Do they win back-to-back national championships? Of course. But it still doesn't take away from the fact that Dan Hurley is an absolute clown sometimes. Meathead, hothead clown. Good head coach? Absolutely. But man, dude, like, he just is a hothead. I would have loved to seen him go to the NBA. Could you imagine him pulling that crap to like LeBron or in the NBA? Like, absolute clown when it comes to his emotions. Great head coach, but he's a hothead, meathead clown. Are you watching it? Yeah. I think he's just like ripping his assistant coach. I don't know, but the last 2 nights, it's someone else's fault. It's not your fault. Blah, 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 blah. Like, and then just having these like outbursts of
he's pretty much, he was just yelling at the ref, and then the assistant coach, after he got teed up, came over and kind of separated him. He kind of just threw him out of the way.
Just hothead clown. Great head coach, but man, is he a hothead. All right, Brent, let's get to it.
It's time for The Wrap, presented by Sombrero Mexican Food. Check out their website at sombreromex.com.
Do you think Reese Waters should start over BJ Davis when he comes back?
It's going to be a very difficult decision for Dutch and the coaching staff once Reese Waters gets back, because if BJ Davis is going to play like this, how can you move that to the bench for a guy that is coming off of a pretty significant injury and hasn't played in a couple months? And that's where I get a little worried, because Reese did not I'm not going to say handled well, but he didn't perform well coming off the bench towards the end of the season last year. He was much more comfortable in a starting role. And if you're going to move BJ Davis to the bench, is that going to affect BJ Davis in his scoring output? Or is it going to be the opposite effect where you now get a guy that can give you 15 to 20 points off the bench and he isn't fazed by it at all? It's going to be a difficult decision, but it's going to be a hard one if BJ Davis is going to continue to play like this.
I think it's going to be a lot of who has the hot hand, to where they'll go with whoever's hotter. It's like you said, if BJ Davis just stays hot, then he'll be the obvious guy to stay in there. But that's just kind of cycle of mine. He likes to play matchups sometimes.
Yeah, it's a good problem to have because you want both those players on your team, and so we will see. We'll see what happens there. All right, next question, Brent.
Who's going to win the Heisman this year?
So
Steve.
Yeah. So I asked this question because today the finalists for the Jim Thorpe Award were announced. Mm-hmm. And Travis Hunter's not on that list. Now, the Jim Thorpe Award's best wide receiver in college. And Dion was livid today that he's not a top. Sorry. Not wide receiver, defensive back. Sorry. And he's not on the list. He's not on the Jim Thorpe Award list. I think Travis Hunter's going to win the Heisman. But if he's not up for some of these individual awards, it makes you wonder. So I'm still going to say Travis Hunter is going to win the Heisman. I think Ashton Genty, if his team makes the college football playoff, has put together a season where if Ashton Genty's not on that team, they're not in the college football playoff. Without Travis Hunter, obviously Colorado's not as good, but Colorado, they're not going to make the playoff most likely. They're not even going to probably win the Big 12. They have a lot of things have to go their way. I would pick Ashton Genty, but I think Travis Hunter is going to win the Heisman.
I think he's going to too. I'm kind of curious what their reasoning was for leaving him off the finalist list. If he didn't have enough snaps at corner, that he didn't. Yeah, I'm kind of wondering why they left him off. It's like Joel Klass, like going ballistic too. Not having him even be a finalist devalues the award. And
so Dion said today, Travis could have my Thorpe Award because if it ain't the most idiotic thing in college football that he's not a finalist for the Jim Thorpe Award, and he is, I would say arguably, but I don't think it's really an argument about this young man being the best defensive back in college football. Maybe it has to do with the amount of snaps he's played, but he's
what's he listed as?
But he's a two-way player that's played in like almost every snap. So if it's not that, then what is it? No one throws his way. He has got 3 interceptions on the season.
That's why I was wondering if maybe they had him listed as a wide receiver instead of a cornerback. Kind of like how, if you're listed as a shortstop but you play a lot of second base, you're not going to go to the All-Star game as a second baseman because you're technically your shortstop.
But he's played as many. I mean, he plays every snap both ways, though.
I know. I'm just trying to think of possible things that could be, and that's one of the only ones I can think of.
Yeah, Texas cornerback, Ohio State, and Georgia safety, Malachi Starks from Georgia, Caleb Downs from Ohio State, and Jahdae Barron from Texas are all finalists for the Jim Thorpe Award, and not Travis Hunter. So, yeah, interesting. But he's going to be a finalist for the.
Yeah,
he's got to be, right?
Yeah.
Okay, next question.
What is the best Thanksgiving Day game?
The best game is going to be the Lions and Bears. But I tell you what, I love watching Trainwreck. And Cowboys-Giants is going to be an absolute train wreck. Talking to Will Brinson earlier. Just bet on the game, and it's fun. That's what I'm going to do. So the best game is Lions-Bears. The most fun game to watch might be Cowboys-Giants because it's going to be a really bad game. It's going to be a really, really bad game.
You don't think the Dolphins in the cold is going to be fun?
No. Tua in the cold, not a good combination. Final question, Brett.
What's the best Thanksgiving food?
Now, can you say turkey? Like I feel
It's
like
a Thanksgiving food.
I know, but turkey's like the easy way out. Like if you say turkey, okay, everyone says turkey. For
No,
me,
but it has to be like a like a turkey, not like you go to the deli or Subway and
Like
get a
turkey
turkey
meat.
sub or something, like an actual bird that you cooked and put, like a Thanksgiving turkey, that kind of turkey.
I love me some stuffing. I love stuffing. I can't discriminate against any Thanksgiving food because I love them all. I also really love sweet corn casserole. I love sweet corn, and I love it being a casserole.
I've never heard of that.
Hard for me to pick, but if I had to, I'll go stuffing with. It has to have gravy on top, though. I'll go stuffing, whatever. I love it all, though. Mashed potatoes. I'm a big. Do you like white or dark meat?
White.
Okay, yeah. Now, do you also put gravy on everything? Or
Except
not?
for sweet potatoes.
So sweet potatoes. You don't want to put gravy on that.
But I'll put it on stuffing and the potatoes and the turkey.
I put the gravy on sweet potatoes. Or not sweet potatoes. I put the gravy on mashed potatoes and stuffing, turkey.
I'm not putting gravy on like green bean casserole or something like
I'll
that.
put it on a roll.
Oh yeah, rolls. Yeah,
gravy just goes good on anything. But if I had to pick, I guess I pick stuffing. I don't know. It's hard for me to like. In 5 minutes, I'll probably say sweet corn casserole, and then another 5 minutes, I'll probably say mashed potatoes and gravy. It changes throughout the hour.
You just have to go with something that you can't get like on a normal Thursday.
True. I'm not eating stuffing on like a Tuesday night. Coming up next, the latest in the Juan Soto decision drama. What is going on? Why are there so many different reports? We'll try to sort all of that out coming up next. This update's brought to you by Taco Bell. San Diego State beating Creighton earlier this afternoon, 71-53. Next up, they'll take on Oregon. Oregon took down Texas A&M today, 80-70. Tip-off time tomorrow afternoon is 1 p.m. Pre-game starts at noon right here on San Diego Sports 760. We have Lakers basketball tonight as they take on the Phoenix Suns. Pre-game's at 6:45. Tip-off is at 7. And San Diego State football, their final game of the season, will be this Saturday night at Snapdragon Stadium, 7:30 kickoff, 5:30 pregame right here on San Diego Sports 760. The slow roasted Cantina chicken menu is here to stay with ingredients like purple cabbage and freshly prepared pico de gallo. Try it today at a participating U.S. Taco Bell location while supplies last. Contact store for participation, which varies.
Getting you all set for that drive home. Let's just start the show. Here's Jon and Jim.
All right, final hour of Jon and Jim. Final hour of the week on Jon and Jim. Tomorrow, just a programming reminder, because the Aztecs are playing in the afternoon. No Jon and Jim. So final hour of Thanksgiving week. We'll be back on a Monday.
It'll be Jon, kind of.
Kind of ish. Yeah, you'll hear Jon tomorrow on the radio because of the pregame show with him and Fletch, and then the postgame show, and then the halftime report as well. So final hour of Jon and Jim this week, and then me and Jon will be reunited on Monday of next week. Hopefully talking about an Aztecs Players Era Tournament Championship. That would be nice. They take on Oregon tomorrow. Oregon beating Texas A&M today. Texas A&M was ranked 20th in the country. Oregon now remains undefeated at 6-0. It's going to be a tough matchup tomorrow for San Diego State.
Well, you know
but
what they say.
Sometimes Ken Palm's full.
Sometimes Ken Palm is full of bleep, except today they had a huge jump in Ken Palm. Did you hear about this, Brent?
No.
So to start the day, they were in like the high 50s. San Diego State was. And after their win today against Creighton, they have, as Jon would say, catapulted. Jon loves that word, catapulted.
It's a fun word.
All the way up to number 41.
Oh, all right.
They were in the mid 50s. I think they were 55th or 56th. And with the win against Creighton today, they have jumped up all the way to number 41 in the Ken Palm rankings, even though Ken Palm is sometimes full of bleep.
Sometimes Ken Palm's full.
Oregon is ranked number 27th in Ken Palm. So
do you think on Thursday Jon's going to give thanks for Ken Palm?
Probably 100%. If the Aztecs win tomorrow, for sure he'll give thanks, because that means San Diego State will jump up to, I would think, inside the top 30 of Ken Palm. Because then they'll be facing a top 10 Ken Palm team in Houston's number 1, by the way, in Ken Palm rankings. Alabama's ranked 9th in Ken Palm rankings. So yeah, got a couple good matchups here for your resume. And Alabama and Houston are about to tip off in Las Vegas as we speak. That's going to be a fun game to watch. And if it was up to Jon, he would force Kristen and Jones to watch this game.
How do you know he's not?
Well, he might be at like a bar or a restaurant, but if it was up to him, he would have stayed and watched every single one of these games at the MGM in Las Vegas. Okay, so Juan Soto. There are so many freaking reports out about Juan Soto. Rightfully so. I mean, I get it. He's the number 1 free agent target on the board, number 1 free agent on the board. And reports are that the Mets, the Dodgers, the Red Sox, the Yankees, the Blue Jays have all offered him a contract. And then there's reports that no team has offered him a contract, and that he's met with this team, but he didn't meet with this team, but he actually met with that team. And then he met with this team, and he didn't meet with the Mets here, but he met with the Mets there. Well, here's Steve Cohen talking about their meeting with Juan Soto, coming straight from the horse's mouth, about his thoughts on the free agency process and about when he thinks Juan Soto will make a decision.
Is that the Mets owner?
That's the Mets owner, yes.
What would your message be to fans who would love to see Juan Soto suiting up for the Mets?
Well, listen, we're going to find out. It's either yes or no, right? There's no in between, and time will tell.
So he's even like, I don't know. And there's reports that they met at.
We wrote him a check. We just got to wait and see if he signs it.
Exactly. I'm sure that their offer is a large one, but that coming from the owner is like, okay, yeah, not going to say much. He's going to, say the very bare minimum. But then you start getting all these reports like Bob Nightingale. Bob Nightingale is saying that there's 5 teams that have offered him a contract. The Mets, the Yankees, the Dodgers, the Red Sox, and the Blue Jays. Like, okay. Well, here's other reporting from New York talking about how Bob Nightingale, there's actually no teams that have made an offer to Juan Soto as of yet.
Now that you're back with us from staycation, fill us in on the latest with the Soto sweepstakes.
Well, I think what Nightingale wrote there is absolutely true. You go to the GM meetings, you hear that other teams are thinking, the Mets and Soto. But as you said, Sal, that doesn't mean much other than the Mets are known to have a lot of resources and a lot of ambition. You know what I'll say? As you mentioned, I was on a little staycation, introducing myself to my kids after the postseason. I think they like me more after the week, but you'd have to ask them. But I had some time to think about this, and it's still early. I obviously did reporting too before coming on the show, and no offers have been made, no bidding has happened, so there's no favorite. It's too early to say who's the favorite to sign Soto, but there are some real advantages that I think the Mets have that go beyond just money, which we know that they have too. Like, for example, continuity of what they're presenting to Soto. So each team, and I think every team that has a chance to sign Soto is already presented to him. You look at the difference between the Yankees and the Mets, and I do believe it's likely that one of those two teams is going to get Soto. The Mets' leadership cycle, specifically, I mean, Steve Cohen, David Stearns, and Carlos Mendoza are in the beginning. Their team, are at the beginning of that cycle. They're all pretty fresh on the job. They have job security. They're going to be in these jobs for a long time. So what they're telling Soto is likely to be what is the situation with the Mets for a long time to come. You're talking about someone who's going to be now signing up for a decade or more to be somewhere. Whereas with the Yankees, although the Yankees usually, or if not almost always, find a way to be really good or at least really competitive. Brian Cashman, I've reported this before on the show, and it was in the book that we talked about on the show that I reported. He's possibly going to be looking to move on at some point or transition to another leadership team. I've named Kevin Reese, who currently works in the organization, as a potential successor to Cashman over the next 2 or 3 years. None of this is certain, but that raises questions for the incoming free agent of who's going to be running this team that I signed up for? Is it going to be like it is today? Are the presentations that I'm hearing from these groups going to be what it's going to be like in 4 years, 6 years, 7 years, 8 years? And I think the Mets are in a better position to say what we tell you today is what you're going to experience. So ultimately, this comes down to money in a lot of ways, but these things matter too, I think.
That was Andy Martino, covers the Mets in New York. He's very dialed in to all things Mets. So it kind of feels like what he says is more towards the truth than what Bob Nightingale is saying. We talked about this the other day. The amount of misinformation and misreporting on things is insane. You have Bob Nightingale saying, oh yeah, there's an offer on the table from the Mets. And Andy Martino's like, no, there's not. There's no offer. There's no bidding. There's no bidding war yet.
Well, that's kind of what I was getting at yesterday when we were talking about that Kim dude, and everyone's like, oh,
Kim.
Can we believe him? Because he's not, JP Morosi or somebody like that. And that was kind of my point yesterday, is like, well, some of those guys, like Nightingale, and they're big names, they do the same thing.
Nightingale, it was so funny. I one day, it was like 2 years ago, and I was at a playoff game for the Padres. I think it was the NLCS, might have been the NLCS. Yeah, NLCS day game against the Phillies, and Bob's sitting front row. And I mean, it's hard to not look down and see sometimes what people are doing on their phones or their computers, especially in the press box, how it is at Petco. Yeah. Like, you just are naturally looking that direction anyway. And, knowing Bob's reputation, and I like Bob. Bob's has been nice to me. Like, I've, booked him for shows before and whatnot, but the dude just aggregates things, and he just copies and pastes all of his stuff. I mean, he has some sources because he's been in the game for a long time, but like, how many times has Bob gotten things wrong? So many. So it's just to have him report one thing and then hear from Andy Martino there, another thing, and then hear from another person, another thing. Like, good job, guys. You're really on top of this. Good job. The reporting on Juan Soto is great. That's why Jeff Passan, even though just Jeff Passan, that's why he's like the only person to listen to, because guess what he does? He only reports on things that are actually happening. He's not in the speculation game. Now, for us on the radio, we need the speculation game. I want the speculation. But when it comes to actual factual things, Jeff Passan's probably one of the only, if not the only guys that you have to listen to when it comes to what's going on in the sport. So do we know if there's offers on the table for Juan Soto? No idea. One person saying one thing, another person saying the other thing. I'm just sitting here just saying to myself, just don't go to the Dodgers. Just don't go to the Dodgers. Just don't go to the Dodgers. 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 That's all I'm saying.
You know what it is? It's Scott Boras is just dropping little fake pieces of information to all these guys, and then they're just all running with it.
Oh, for sure.
So it can jack the price up for his clients.
Oh, he is causing havoc. Anybody that he could talk to that has a voice, he is
look, I
throwing
got a
little
message
nuggets.
from Roras.
Yeah.
He says that Juan Soto is definitely going to Cincinnati.
Yeah, and then he does that troll
Print
job.
it.
And he does that troll job today on his Instagram where he teams up with Celsius, but yet
John Juice.
The caption said, "I have a big announcement." Like, you're trolling, buddy, and he like sits down, and you got to go search it out. It's one of those troll jobs, especially if you're like a Mets fan or a Yankees fan. You're like, "Oh my God, what?" Like Mets fans, like the Celsius was orange. He's going to the Mets. I do think Juan Soto, this whole drama and sweepstakes will end fairly quickly, either at the winter meetings or after the winter meetings. And that's a good thing for baseball. You got to have your top free agent signed during like baseball's Super Bowl offseason. Like, the winter meetings are their offseason Super Bowl, and they got to make sure that you get some action at the winter meetings. You do not want to have everybody in one place and nothing happen. All right, coming up next, could Nolan Arenado be catching balls at first base thrown by Manny Machado next year? We'll talk about that coming up next.
San Diego Sports 760 is celebrating the season with the iHeart Radio Holiday Special. One night to get you in the holiday spirit with exclusive performances from Dan and Shay, Jennifer Hudson, Jimmy Fallon, Kelly Clarkson, hosted by the trader Mario Lopez himself. Listen to the show tomorrow at 4 p.m. on Holiday Seasons Radio on our free iHeart Radio app. So reports from Katie Wu, who covers the Cardinals for The Athletic, says that the Cardinals are maybe willing to trade away Nolan Arenado, and that Arenado is willing, if he is traded, to play first base, to be a guy that, you know, I can play multiple positions. You don't have to play me at third. And if you need a someone at first base, I can help you there. And so then now the question is raised, well, if he is traded, where could he go? And I wouldn't care about where Nolan Arenado goes particularly, but when the Padres are brought up as one of those teams that people are speculating about, I have to jump in and tell you probably not going to happen. Biggest reason why? Dude's owed $74 million over the next 3 seasons. Some of the money is deferred, but still. 3 years, $74 million? Nope. Not going to happen. If you told me that the Cardinals ate a majority of that and you didn't have to give up too much to get him in return, sure. Maybe. I would maybe think about it, but even then I'm like, I don't know. Do I want a 34-year-old whose offense has declined here and somebody that is not the old Arenado, but is a guy that, you know, it's last year he hit 269 with a 426 slug. His WRC plus was a 104.
Yeah, and he's barely sniffed 300. He hasn't hit 300 since 2019.
And in this article that I read today, the suggestion of the Padres making sense to team up with Manny Machado. He'd be on a contender, plays first base. Padres need a first baseman. I mean, the irony of watching Manny Machado throwing across the diamond to Nolan Arenado would be just very weird. It would be a very weird sight, especially because both these guys have been competing against each other as who is the best third baseman in the National League for the last 5-6 years.
You know what would happen? The first ball that Arenado would have go by him. Well, he did that on purpose because he doesn't want Manny to win the Gold Glove.
Oh, really? Error. Bad throw.
Exactly.
Error. So again, does it make sense in fantasy world? Maybe, but even then, I don't see it happening because of the money. The money is too much, especially with the Padres already up against whatever limit they have in their mind. They're going to have to be very savvy with all of their moves this offseason. This doesn't speak to me as being a savvy move. An old, aging 34-year-old player playing a different position on the diamond that he's never played before. No. I'd much rather have Paul Goldschmidt over Nolan Arenado at first base.
I don't want any of them.
I don't want either of them. I don't want either of them. You're right. I'm with you. I don't want either of those two players. But when the Padres have to make, I mean, to face it, they have to make a lot of moves this offseason. They need a catcher. They need a left fielder. They need bench depth to replace Peralta and Solano. They need help in their rotation badly. The back end of your bullpen with the loss of Tanner Scott. What are you going to do at first base? If their first move is in their mind, and they're thinking they're like, let's go out and get Nolan Arenado and put him at first. Nah, I don't like that at all. I really don't. Actually, I hate that.
They're like, hey, we've had a lot of success of taking shortstops and putting them everywhere but shortstop. Let's take a third baseman and put him someplace that's not third base.
The reason why Nolan Arenado is saying I want to play first base is because he wants out of St. Louis. And it's like you said,
he's getting up there and his skills are starting to go down.
Right.
And kind of like how we were talking about Aaron Rodgers earlier, there's not going to be a whole bunch of teams banging on Nolan Arenado's door anymore, to where his options are going to be kind of limited. So he has to put out into the ether now that, hey, you know, I'll also play first base. You know, I'm flexible. Look at me.
It's not going to happen. It's one of those silly things to talk about, to think about. I would be shocked and not happy if it did happen. Nolan Arenado is not coming to the Padres. He's not going to be the first baseman for the Padres next year. He's owed too much money. But Katie's reporting that no deal is obviously even close, but the winter meetings, which are December 8th through 11th, things could pick up, and I hope it's just a fury of moves. I hope there's 10 to 15 trades at the winter meetings. I hope 5 of the top free agents sign at the winter meetings. I want, like, every day it to be, I can't even keep up. There's so many moves happening. That's what the winter meetings should be about. It should be about, like, an explosion of hot stove. That's what I want at the winter meetings, starting on December 8th in about a week and a half from now. So please, baseball, please don't go through the winter meetings and nothing happen. That would just be, again, a sport that you need all the help you possibly can get. Make sure that those couple days, the sports world is on you, because there are so many moves happening that they can't take their eyes off of it. Like, they are forced to report on all the moves, like Juan Soto and Pete Alonso and Corbin Burns and I meant Roki Sasaki being posted. He won't sign, but he'll be posted. Max Fried, trades. That's what I want to happen at the winter meetings this year. All right, coming up next, Ken Rosenthal, our good friend Ken Rosenthal, Sinners for Sling, Ken Rosenthal, is going to clear up all the Juan Soto reporting and talk about how there's been so many different reports. You'll hear from him, and we'll get into tomorrow's Aztec game against Oregon coming up next right here on Jon and Jim. All right, this update's brought to you by Taco Bell. San Diego State beats Creighton this afternoon, 71-53. BJ Davis led the way with 18 points and 9 rebounds. Next up, the Aztecs take on Oregon tomorrow afternoon. 1 p.m. tip-off. Noon is when our pregame coverage starts with John and Fletch right here on San Diego Sports 760. Tonight, NBA Cup action. Lakers take on the Suns. 6:45 pregame, 7 p.m. tip time. And this Saturday, San Diego State football, their final game of their regular season, will be against Air Force, 7:30 kickoff, 5:30 pregame with Fletch and J.R. Tolver. The Slow Roasted Cantina chicken menu is here to stay with ingredients like purple cabbage and freshly prepared pico de gallo. Try it today at a participating U.S. Taco Bell location while supplies last. Contact store for participation, which varies.
I think I've read all the liners, Brent. Most of them. Let's see here. Oh, no. Here we go. I'll read this one right now. The Aztec basketball team is back. Hold on. That over. The Aztec basketball team is back at it in Vegas tomorrow afternoon versus the Oregon Ducks. Pregame with Jon Jim starts at noon. It's got the tip after 1 p.m. on your home of the Aztecs, San Diego Sports 760. There you go. We'll have to remember in 16 days. Way better. Way better. 2 o'clock hour was I'm the new
read guy, liner guy. John is going to be so not prepared for 4-hour shows when he gets back.
Or maybe he will be. Maybe he'll have so much back stuff to talk about for not being here for 2 weeks.
If the Aztecs end up winning this Players Era Tournament championship, because he's got the Aztecs football game on Saturday night, so he won't be doing pregame for that. But he'll have a lot to talk about then if the Aztecs win the tournament. So final Jon and Jim of the week, Turkey Day on Thursday, San Diego State tomorrow against Oregon. We have a full slate of NFL games this week, Cowboys and Giants, the best game of Thanksgiving Day. You can hear that right here at 1 p.m. on San Diego Sports 760. Lakers basketball on Friday night. And then in the afternoon, you have the Raiders and the Chiefs right here on the station. So Ken Rosenthal tried to, I guess, sum up or clear up all these conflicting reports about Juan Soto, and the Dodgers have a deal on the table for him. Is he a favorite? Are the Dodgers a favorite? Are the Mets a favorite? Yankees? Yeah. Here's Ken Rosenthal on all of those reports.
There are so many random reports. Social media is just going nuts. There's people that I'm learning about that I've never heard of. I'm not trying to slight anyone. Someone might be on the money, but there's so many reports out there with different money, different teams involved. We know some people are very wrong. So when you're trying to sort through this, and I know you have your own standards of how you report, what do you think about what's being thrown out there right now?
We don't know what's going on right now. And certainly there are offers being made. That's been reported. That I believe to be true. As Brendan Cuddy of The Athletic reported this morning, this is the first phase. This is the preliminary offers. The offers then will be redone next week, perhaps, and they go from there. This all points toward the winter meetings. That's the one thing I'm confident about, that this thing will get done in or around the winter meetings. As far as who is offering what, we don't know that just yet. And it's all speculation. It's fun to think about, and it's interesting to talk about. But as you see there from Brendan, offers for Juan Soto are expected to go through multiple rounds. The first round is expected to be preliminary, meant to gauge genuine interest from all parties. And then this starts around next week when it kind of accelerates again. All the stuff that is out there right now, beyond the teams interested, we really don't have much of a feel for. We know pretty much the teams interested. That I think we can say with some certainty. The 5 teams that have been listed all along: Mets, Yankees, Dodgers, Blue Jays, Red Sox. Beyond that, Scott, I don't have a lot of information, and there's not going to be a lot of good information, at least not yet.
I saw a tweet this afternoon, and it looked like a professional tweet, like the way it was formatted, like, and it talked about the Mets have offered this to Juan Soto, and he's heavily considering choosing the Mets. Decision could come as likely as next week or as early as next week before the winter meetings or during the winter meetings. And I looked at it because I'm like, what is this? And the guy had 87 followers. And someone,
86 of them were new.
Yeah, and I looked at the quote tweets, and somebody, actually a couple people, actually thought this was like legit, and they were like tagging people and like, dude, I can't believe it. Again, Twitter and all social media platforms have turned into an S show because nobody knows what's right and what's wrong, and nobody knows if this team offered something or this team offered something. And the same thing with Seiya Suzuki. Like, I the whole handshake agreement with the Dodgers, like, what? And then the other day, that Joseph Kim guy saying, the Padres, he's interested in going to the Padres. And I'm like, what? It all, for our business and for what we do, I want all the rumors possible. But again, to sift through all of these rumors, I'm like, what are we going to pick from as like stuff that we're going to go with here? Like, does Bob Nightingale get almost everything wrong? Yeah. But am I going to talk about Bob Nightingale's reporting? Absolutely. Jim Bowden, has he like reported on anything correctly in the last couple of years? Not really.
Recently.
But again, if he has an opinion on something and he's like, well, I've talked to a bunch of owners or GMs, and my feeling is highly unlikely he signs with the Dodgers. I'm rolling with that. But when, you get all of these different reports out, it's just, man, it is a lot to keep up with. And I would love Juan Soto back on the Padres, not for the money that he's going to get, but I'm a little glad that here in San Diego, we don't have to worry and have every single moment of the day refreshing the timeline for the latest Juan Soto rumor. Because that's what's happening with Mets fans and now Dodger fans and, of course, Yankees fans, even Blue Jays fans, maybe Red Sox fans, that every time they refresh their timeline and there's somebody out there that's saying something about Juan Soto, their entire life stops for a second.
I can't wait for the first false report of Juan Soto flying to Canada.
Who will that be? It's like, I got to give me the favor as being Bob Nightingale, because
him or Bowden.
No, I don't think Bowden would report that. Maybe JP Morosi, because he's been duped before.
Could be.
Ken's very like, I'm going to get this right before I get this first. Like, whoever's the first to report on Juan Soto, I think will be either one, Jeff Passan, or it will be somebody who covers that team. Like Andy Martino from New York. I think he is as dialed in as anybody with the Mets. I could see somebody like, John Heyman in New York. He's very close with the Yankees. Yeah, my money is still on Jeff Passan. Like, that's he's like a easy 2-1, 3-1 favorite. But if it's not him, I'm going like with Andy Martino or John Heyman. Those are my top three as far as sources go for the Juan Soto sweepstakes. Everybody else is kind of just guessing at this point, and we'll see. That's how I view it with Roki Sasaki. Roki Sasaki, here are the people that I will only take as Bible for Roki Sasaki rumors. And don't get me wrong, we'll talk about them all, but like actual factual stuff. Dennis Lin, Kevin, Jeff Passan. Those right there. Those three guys. Because those are the three most dialed in people in two of them for the Padres, and then one Jeff Passan, who I don't think he's gotten something wrong in a long time. Maybe ever. Because he only reports stuff that's actually factual and happening. So be careful out there. Be very careful out there. The winter meetings produce so many rumors. And I've been a couple winter meetings before, and it's an S show. Like, every corner, you see a GM talking to somebody, or you see a reporter talking to another reporter, and rumors just like all of a sudden, like, just magically appear from the bar at the hotel lobby. Like, oh, I heard this at the bar downstairs. Like, what? and a lot of times it's not even like I was talking to somebody that told me this. It was like I was eating a cheeseburger and 3 people down the road from me, I heard him talk about this to another person, and then they make that and turn that into a rumor.
Dude, if I went to the winter meetings, I would totally mess with everybody.
Oh,
I
you
would
do that a-hole?
No, I would go down to like the bar and just like write a fake deal on a napkin, like Soto 6 years, $750 million, blah blah blah, and then just leave and just leave the napkin sit on the bar so then somebody finds it.
Because at the winter meetings, what happens is all these young college kids go there trying to look for internships and jobs inside organizations, and they'll do anything they possibly can to get their name out there and talk with the GM or talk with somebody. So yeah, if you wrote something down on a piece of paper like that, some 22-year-old college kid just out of college
make up some trade.
Yeah, I'll be like, what? And they'll go on social media and this and that, and then they can buy blue check marks and they can make it look somewhat legit, but then it's really not legit. And Jeff Passan's in the corner there on a step stool.
It could be like that Aaron Rodgers stat that was made up that he thought was
like,
real.
I made this up. I made this stat up for my bed.
Yeah, I'd just be sitting there and all of a sudden I turn into that DiCaprio meme and point, ooh, that's my stat. That's my stat.
That's my fake
rumor.
rumor.
Fake trade.
That's my fake rumor. That'd be absolutely hilarious. All right, coming up next, we'll wrap up the show and get you to my back page. All that right here on Jon and Jim.
All right, final time of the week here on Jon and Jim. Just a reminder, we have Lakers basketball tonight. Take on the Phoenix Suns. 6:45. The pregame starts 7 p.m. time. It's NBA Cup Day, Brent.
NBA Cup Day. Looking at the NBA
Tuesdays and Fridays will never be the same.
Yeah, the NBA Cup scoreboard, I guess. Whatever. Your Bucks all over the Heat at the half, 65-51.
I'm sure they'll blow it.
Bulls are up on the Wizards, 93-79.
Yeah,
Rockets.
The way the Bucks are playing, like the NBA Cup might be the only thing they have this year.
Probably. Well,
do you think that'll be enough to keep you honest?
we won, but we won the NBA Cup.
You know, I value that more than our actual championship we won.
Yeah, I don't know about that one. All right, Brent. Let's get right to it. So when was it that you had the McRib sauce story? I think it was gone. I was gone,
It was
right?
the day you were gone. Or the day you left early for the soccer thing.
Oh yeah, the event last week for San Diego FC. So McDonald's sold out 500 half-gallon containers of the McRib sauce in a minute. It sold out in about 1 minute. And here's the thing. You could buy it online for $19.99.
Mm-hmm.
It is now being sold on eBay.
Okay, let me guess.
For an average price of guess the price.
$80. Higher? Are we triple digits? $200.
$130.
Oh, that's still too much.
$130 for a gallon of McRib sauce that you could buy for $19.99.
Now you might, when I did this story, it was John, so he's worthless about a story with ribs.
Yeah.
Have you had a McRib?
I've never had a McRib before.
Damn it, neither have I. Because the question I posed to John was, is this just plain barbecue sauce, or is there something special about this barbecue sauce that
There's always something special with McDonald's sauces and stuff like that.
Yeah, no, but they're always, it's Thousand Island dressing. It's not special.
True.
But that's just kind of my thing, to where it's like, why do I need the McRib sauce? Does it taste different than every other kind of barbecue sauce? Kind of like how Chick-fil-A sauce used to be until they found out what it was, and now everyone has their own, flavor of Chick-fil-A sauce.
Here's the thing. I don't think you would like the McRib because there's like remnants of onion around it.
Well, I know they'd have to get it off of there.
Even without that, there's probably some type of onion flavor.
I don't think there is, because I think they just pretty much cake those big onions on the top of it.
The McRib, I've seen like someone make the McRib, and I'm like, yeah, it doesn't look that appetizing to me.
Well, that applies to almost all fast food if you see them make it.
Don't tell me how it's made. I just want to eat it.
I had a cousin that used to work at KFC when it was still Kentucky Fried Chicken, and she hasn't eaten at a Kentucky Fried Chicken in 40 years.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't look as great before they cook it.
Exactly. It might taste good, but you'd never want to see what it looks like. Yeah, before it's cooked. Krispy Kreme for the holidays, Brent, starting on November 29th through Christmas, have released a Grinch line of donuts. You can get a Grinch donut filled with cream. Pause. A Grinch Claus chocolate donut, Santa Belly donut, and a Cindy Lou Who Mary Berry Tree donut, starting on November 29th.
I like the Grinch donut. I'm looking at the box right now. The Grinch donut actually has the Grinch's face on it. The rest of them are just kind of...
Well, the other one, the Grinchy Claus has the Grinch on it. You wouldn't know what the Cindy Lou Who donut would be if you got to guess.
It's just half frosty.
You know what the Santa one is because it's Santa.
Santa that.
But Yeah, you're right. The only one that's actually the Grinch is the Grinch donut filled with cream.
And they have one with like, it looks like it's a sticker though. It doesn't look like it's an actual edible Grinch on it.
Oh, okay.
That chocolate.
Well,
they have
it's
like
got to be edible. They're not putting stickers on a donut.
Oh, they put stickers on cupcakes.
Well, they're edible stickers. Like you can eat it. Like I know what you're talking about. It's like it's basically like a sugar.
Yeah, I still don't eat those.
Type of thing. Like it's edible. They're not just putting like a plastic thing on the donut. But there you go. Starting November 29th, the Merry Grinch Miss collection at Krispy Kreme.
They should have filled the Grinch one with like lime filling or something that's green.
Maybe they do. Maybe they.
I doubt they did. They're not that original. Look at the box.
Costco is selling a emergency food supply box that could last you for 25 years.
Yeah, right.
Costco has introduced the ReadyWise emergency food supply, a 25-year shelf life food bucket designed for uncertain times. Each bucket contains 150 servings of freeze-dried meals, including dishes like teriyaki rice, chicken noodle soup, Alfredo pasta, and a whey milk alternative with 80 entree servings, 30 breakfast servings, and 40 drink servings.
I can tell you right now why it's going to last 25 years, because they're pretty much MREs.
They are MREs.
And, all of our military listeners, you can all tell, they taste like crap.
Yeah.
I tried one of my buddies once when he was in the Marine. They're not very good. So if that was all I had to eat, yeah, it'd probably take me 25 years to eat them too.
Now, the box doesn't last you 25 years, but you could keep the box for 25 years without using it. And these meals last for 25 years. So you're not living 25 years off of 150 servings.
Yeah, it's, the perfect Christmas gift for the doomsday prepper in your family.
Yeah, just buy like 5 of these boxes and you're good to go for a while.
For that shut-in that refuses to leave the basement, there you go.
Exactly. And finally, if you want to get a new Starbucks off the menu item, secret menu Barbie frappe, here is the order. Start with a vanilla bean cream frappuccino. Tell the server to add 3 pumps of vanilla, add 1 scoop of dragon fruit blended, and top it off with whipped cream. Boom. There you go. How you doing? You get the Barbie Starbucks
I'm already
frappuccino.
confused. That's why I don't go to Starbucks.
Dude, listen to this. So
I feel so intimidated. Like, just ordering is like, can I just get like a coffee?
So
without sprinkles and whipped cream and
Aaron, let me just pull this up here. I love her more than anything. But sometimes I go to Starbucks when she gives me an order and I like tell them and I think that they look at me like I'm a moron. I can't find it. Where is it? Here we go. So this is Aaron's order. Exact order.
Excited, yes.
Exact order. And I said this at the drive-thru. I read it verbatim. Hi, yeah, can I get a grande iced shaken espresso, light peppermint chocolate cold foam with 1 pump mocha, 1 pump peppermint, and almond milk, please?
Yes, that's exactly why I won't ever go to Starbucks.
I love that girl more than anything, but I get so intimidated when I go to Starbucks and she gives me that order and I think it's wrong. I'm like, the drink, I'm like, this doesn't look right. And I give it to her. She goes, so good. I guess I read it right.
You should just forget one of those things next time.
Oh, no, God, no. Oh, no chance.
It's like, oh, no
chance. No, I'm not going back to Starbucks. No way. All right, that will do it for Jon and Jim. Aztec play Oregon tomorrow. We'll talk to you next week. Have a happy Thanksgiving, everybody. Until then, stay right here on San Diego Sports 760.